It's recording. Do your pose after Rob hits start.
You do a cheer.
Want to do?
Simple cheer.
Cheers. Here we go with the old
Just a raise.
music. Ah! What up, nerds, and welcome to another top 10 episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This week, we're going to be getting into our top 10 of 2021. We're talking about our favorites. We're talking about our not so favorites and even beyond. Before we get into the discussion, let me introduce everyone else at the table. First up, calling in from my immediate left, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up, bitch boy? Soju playing it straight tonight. This is a
Classic.
business episode.
It is not pleasure. This is not pleasurable at all.
No.
If it's pleasurable, we have not done our job.
Last but not least, calling in from my immediate right, we got our boy Randu.
How's it going?
Oh, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
They call me Randu.
Oh,
Now, as of this year. New nickname. How's it going?
Randu
I'm
Soju.
celebrating my new nickname this year is Randu.
Yeah, we need to go with Babu. I mean,
Babu.
Yeah, we
I don't like
just-
that.
You don't
We're not
like
doing
Bob.
that.
That's fine too.
We're not doing anything like that. Yeah, this is sort of our annual tradition. We're talking about our favorite movies of the year.
We're the
It's
only podcast
it's just
that does
ours.
this. Proprietary.
Straight chilling exclusive.
Nobody
Exclusive
else-
top 10 of the year.
Nobody else
episode.
does this ever.
You can do top 9. You can do top 11.
Not
if you
fair.
touch top 10.
We're
Not-
coming for you with our fucking gaggle of lawyers.
Keep them on retainer, son. Before we get into the main topic tonight, let's hit some housekeeping real quick. This is your final reminder. If you support us at the $5 level over on our Patreon website, you get the chance to vote on our monthly poll picks. Our January poll is up, and the theme is redemption. The 3 movies to vote between are The Thing, Scanners, and Reanimator.
Bob, for the last time of 2021,
Mhm.
how are those numbers looking?
They're looking pretty samey. The thing is winning. Reanimator is a few votes back, and Scanners nobody wants us to talk about, apparently.
Okay.
That's so strange.
Wow.
That's the one that I thought would be most, and I don't know. It doesn't have the great, I guess it doesn't have the reputation of the others necessarily, but I thought that that's like one that's less covered.
Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So make sure you get your votes in before the end of the year, and we'll see what movie we're talking about in January. We had a brand new mini cast drop this past Friday. If you support us on our Patreon at the $10 level or above, you get the opportunity to listen to a whole bunch of Patreon exclusive content. Juice, you were talking about The Nighthouse this past Friday.
That is true. That was one of the new movies from 2021 that we couldn't get to here on the cast. This year, we've been covering a lot of newer movies, and I felt like that one deserved a look. And so, yeah, check that out if you're looking for some of the newer content that came out this year. The Nighthouse.
The Nighthouse
Came out around summertime, I believe. So you've had about 6 months to watch it. Also, too, with the mini cast, a little added kind of extra bonus that has just now popped up is its own little tab on our Slack channel.
Yeah.
So not only can you listen to the mini cast and listen to one of us talk about it, or a couple of us sometimes, but now you can talk with the whole squad about whatever we're talking about on the mini
We
cast.
got a whole new tab, people.
A whole tab.
We're killing it.
God
It's
damn.
crazy over here.
Can anyone stop our imminent growth?
Imminent, straight to the top.
Straight to the top, one tab at a time.
Yeah, so slam that into your ear holes. Who knows? Maybe we're talking about the Nighthouse a little bit later on. We'll find out.
Yeah.
That's really all we got going on for Patreon. Do you guys have any other?
I got to give a
news?
shouts out.
Give us
Yeah, you
shouts
do.
out.
We all do.
So someone maybe has just hit the top tier of hard with us.
Diamond
One-
level.
Yeah.
Arts.
One, our boy Matt brought us some Christmas presents, which I am enjoying right now to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
me twisted for this episode. He brought me a squirt, which I've never had. This is a drink. It's
Yeah, it is.
Crude.
Yeah. And a Mountain Dew gingerbread snap. Whoa, Randy.
Mountain Dew gingerbread.
Gingerbread snapped, which is okay, but I'm drinking the squirt mainly because this is sweet. It's quite sweet. It's okay.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. You say that as you sit positioned directly in front of 3 fucking Buckeye
Well,
peanut butter
yeah,
balls
I'll also
that
be
are
munching
made
on
of
peanut butter
absolute
balls.
pure sugar.
Straight
Well,
sugar.
It's true.
Straight. to the
But shouts outs to Matt, not only because he got us some Christmas presents to help our episode tonight, but also he got the very first straight chilling tattoo.
Whoa.
right on his dick.
Whoa.
It says
Actually-
it says our whole URL. All the way
Damn. When it's soft. But no, he got it on his thigh, and that thing is large.
It's
Yeah.
large. And the man hid it from family, from
Well,
wife
yeah.
for at least a month
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah.
win a free meal.
I think that's 2 weeks.
Nothing
Yeah,
but respect.
2 weeks,
Oh, was it?
You got that meal though. Good for
Yeah.
him.
Damn.
Got that meal.
But hashtag hard with us,
Yeah.
Matt. Thank you.
You know, I think it deserves a little something, a little bit of the straight chilling salute. What do you guys
Oh,
think?
okay. A little
I think
extra
so.
salute for tattoo. Hell yeah, I'll do
Here
that.
we go. Here we go.
This one's for Matt. For Matt.
You open the floodgates, Matt. Now everyone's gonna be getting
Oh
that
my
straight
God.
chilling tattoo.
The next tattoo we see is going to be at fucking Fashion Week in New York City. Straight chilling tats all over.
I hope so.
Mhm.
Most likely. Yeah, I think that's all we got for housekeeping. Let's roll on. Let us continue. Thank you. We're getting into the main event. No back of the box this week. We're just talking a whole bunch of different movies. So we're going to count these things down, starting at 10, ending at number 1. And then we're going to talk about some movies that we didn't like so much. And then we're also going to cover some honorable recommendations a little bit later down the line. Let's go ahead and do this. Juice, why don't you kick us off, man? What's your number 10 of 2021?
All right, this year is going to be wild because even
Yeah.
today I've changed this list 3 or 4 times. Even like
Damn.
right before I sat down, I made a quick change. So I always say I think 10 though. When we get to honorable mentions, this is one that I feel like could easily be switched out depending on my mood. But 10, yeah. So 10 right now, I've got Lamb from A24. I wrestled with this one a bit because it was a bit of a letdown for my expectations. It's got some good stuff going for it, cinematography. I think the themes that they're playing with are really good, and I think they touch on some good things, but I'm still not sure how I exactly feel about this movie and where it went. There's one big glaring thing that bothers me, and it's the CGI in this movie because they make you look at it and it's weird. It's quite weird.
The Lamb Boy's weird?
Yeah,
Huh.
It's strange.
Interesting.
But
Is it bad?
Oh, wow.
oh, Randy.
I'm ready for BuzzFeed.
Yeah. It is. It's got some interesting stuff. It's dealing with. So, and I just generally like A24. I think it was the weakest kind of A24 movie I saw this year, but I still eked out a couple other movies that I don't know. But again, I think this would be a cool one for us to at least do a mini cast on, or maybe a whole episode because it's weird. but it's also got some of the A24 tropes. Like it's beautiful looking cinematography. The themes are real dark and interesting. But yeah, so my number 10 is Lamb.
Gotcha.
Bob, did you have that as well, or are we?
No.
Are we okay.
That was not on my list.
Okay.
I didn't think it made anybody else's list.
Yeah, I was
No.
just making.
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure.
Good call. Yeah, good call, Randy.
Randy, what's your number 10?
Okay, so this is for me certainly a dark horse. So I agree with Justin. First of all, as a preface for my list has changed a lot, but it's also out of a very limited field. This has been by far one of, if not the busiest year of my life. So lots of major things happening where I did not get to, between that and COVID, like life stuff and COVID, I just did not get a lot of new movies in this year. That's just the bare bones of it, you know. So I'm pulling out of a pretty small pool here. I did manage to put together a list here, and I wanted to put this one on. It fell naturally in this spot. I didn't juke the stats at all. It's Malignant for me, which is a movie that I actively shat on pretty fucking hard in response to the in the great Malignant debate of 2021. You know, I have a lot of like negative things to say about this movie, but the one thing that I stand by very heartily and what earns it this spot, in my opinion, is that it is a big fucking swing on a large scale in the horror realm that got people talking, and that has inherent value to me. And I also think that, like, you know, even with all of its faults, it is still a moderately enjoyable movie. And out of my limited pool of movies that I saw this year, it naturally came up as number 10 for me. So I don't know. Is it on anybody else's list, or?
It is.
Yes.
It is. Okay,
Oh,
so I'll
okay.
save some more comments for when you.
Well, let me jump in here and just add, like, you didn't see a whole heck of a lot this year. I watched a little over like 50 new horror releases.
Holy shit.
Holy God,
And
Mom.
Malignant is my number 10 as well.
Wow.
Well, you were already you were certainly lighter on it than I was.
Yeah, largely for the same reason. It seemed like everybody and their grandma saw Malignant this year, probably because it was on HBO Max. And it like moved the needle in a very big way, in a way that most other movies we're going to be talking about really didn't. Even whether you like the movie or not, like I said, I think that does hold a lot of value. And it was a true surprise, like going into a James Wan movie, you think you kind of got him dialed in.
He always
Nobody
pulls the
could have
rug
called
a little
that.
bit, or he always. He occasionally pulls the rug a bit, and this is one of those for sure.
Yeah, nobody could have called exactly what this movie was going to be. There is a backwards man in it.
Is there?
Whoa, spoilers. Wow.
Yeah,
Tom Green is in this film. Confirmed. Put it down.
I guess we should say,
Yeah, we should drop a spoiler
Light.
warning, huh?
yeah, there's at least light spoilers, if not like full spoilers throughout this conversation.
Let's call it full spoilers.
Oh,
Well,
might
okay.
as well. I was trying to keep it light.
I think we try and keep it light, but
But
just
all
as
in
a fair
full.
warning, like
Yeah.
we'll be extra cautious. If there's movies from 2021 that you expect to see on a top 10 list and you don't want them spoiled, just
Yeah.
give it
Fair
a wait, give yourself some time, and then come back to us.
Yeah. But yeah, Malignant is also my number 10. It's a surprise. What a surprise.
It really is, like, I mean, to me, it's got inherent value for the amount of conversation it's spurred, and as well as like just being a big fucking swing for a big director to put something like that out that's just so bananas and batshit. I do respect that.
Yeah.
So
All right. Juice, you're number 9. What you got?
Number 9. Now, this is one I gave a little bit of a hard time to, and has come up a lot in discussion on our Slack because of the new tab. But I did a mini cast on this one. It was The Nighthouse. So I actually did like it for the most part. It lost me kind of in the third act was my critique of it. But again, I think the themes that they're dealing with in this film as well, and they're some of the same themes that they deal with in Lamb, are explored very well. They're very interesting. It had a very interesting premise, and the music was great. Cinematography was good. The setting was interesting and cool looking. It's mostly based in this house on a lake, built by an architect. So it's, I don't know, it's very interesting looking. And the premise is pretty different. I just didn't like how it was ultimately kind of pulled off. So that's where a lot of my critiques are coming from. But I definitely think out of the movies that came out in 2021, it is worth a watch. And yeah, I think it deserves number 9 spot for me. Anybody else have Nighthouse?
I do. And
Yes.
it's coming up later.
Okay. Well, Brandy, what is your number 9?
My number 9 wound up being Fear Street 94. I enjoyed the Fear Street series. We talked about that on the
Randy.
trilogy.
So are you counting that just the first movie or the first
I
movie
am.
and
Are
this
you not?
and this like the second half of the third movie, you know how
No, I'm counting like the
the
hour and a
trilogy?
half. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay,
counting
just
the hour and a half,
okay.
1994
Gotcha.
edition,
Okay.
the first installment.
Just clarifying.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, without going too deep into it, is that anybody else's list?
No.
It is not.
Okay. So yeah, I liked that friend. I liked that series. I don't know. There was something about, I talked about it more at length in our episode, which I don't remember which number it was. But that one was it was like everybody's like complaint from you guys was that it was a little pandery with the songs and things like that. And I can understand that. I certainly can. It's pandery in general because it's an appeal to fans of Fear Street, which is not a
True.
series that is current at all.
Mhm.
But to me, I felt like I grew to love the characters to some extent, which is not something I say about most movies that I watch. I don't generally, find myself appealed to characters, especially characters that I initially fucking hated. And I loved that growth that I had, that feeling, seeing that feeling grow in myself for that movie, and then having that explored a little bit further in the other movies as well. So that's my number 9. There's not much more to it than that, honestly. Again, light year, but that really appealed to me, is that, wow, I can't believe I completely 180'd on these characters.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this is the point in the show where it seems like I just didn't make a list and I piggyback off of you guys because number 9 is also the Nighthouse for me.
Oh, okay. No, all right. Bob, we're just taking all your movies.
It moves.
It's a solid movie with like a really cool concept, like a very basic concept that I think they sort of flesh out in an interesting way. But I think Randy's got it on his list a little higher, perhaps. So we'll.
It is a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll circle back to it.
Okay.
Juice number 8. What you got?
Number 8 is Psycho Gourmet.
Gourmet.
All right.
Did anybody else have Psycho Gourmet?
I do.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I'm going to mention it just a little bit and then we'll dive deeper in Randy's. But this is kind of my malignant moment, like for you guys, where you're talking about kind of the big swing and where it was something I just was not expecting to come out. And when I watched it, I was like kind of conflicted about it, but ultimately I really respect what it did. It has problems. That little girl pisses me the fuck off. God damn. But
Frig off.
But what this movie did and the approach it took was interesting and entertaining and kind of surprised me too, because as a fan of Power Rangers when I was like 5 years old, I was surprised at how willing I was to accept this movie because of that.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. So a little bit of like flash from the past, but we'll get deeper into it when it comes up on Randy's list. Randy, you want to take your number 8?
Sure. My number 8, in the same vein, the same year anyway, VHS 94.
Okay.
Very centered on the
Nice.
90s. Anybody else with this one?
Yeah.
I
you
did
got it.
not.
So a little bit later? Or
Yeah, a little
current?
later.
Okay.
A little later.
All right. Well, I won't harp on it too long, though. I'll just say Hail Ratman. We can move on.
Hail
Hell right, man.
My number 8, I got The Last Matinee.
Ooh, I did not see that.
I didn't see that one either.
This is
Tell us about
a Spanish language film that was distributed. One of like the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels put this out on Blu-ray, so
my God.
I got it through them.
Vinegar Syndrome.
The
partner.
The balsamic disease.
Damn.
I came down with the Vinegar Syndrome. The Last Matinee, it's a Spanish language film. It's a slasher that's set in the 90s, but it has that sort of like gritty 80s slasher vibe to it. It's about a movie theater in the city, and they're showing their last movie of the night. There's a few people in there watching the movie, and this slasher rolls up and he decides that he wants to kill everybody in the movie theater. So you get to see like the people that are in there watching, you kind of get to know them throughout the first couple acts, and the people that are running the theater, like the old guy that owns it, his daughter's like running the projector. You kind of get to know all these characters, and then they just start being murdered one by one. It's got like a really solid synth score set to it, and the cinematography is really beautiful. It's just really, really solid kind of meat and potatoes slasher. Like if that's kind of your vibe, I think you would really dig The Last Matinee.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I haven't even heard of that.
I
one.
am not either.
Well, that's why we
don't
do
speak-
this.
I mean, I don't stay up on the vinegar syndrome.
Yeah.
Subsidiary
You're not on-
label.
You're not on that RSS feed?
No.
No. Okay.
No. So that's a little under my radar there, Bob.
Sorry about that, but get up on it. Get up on it.
No.
Number 7.
All right, so this might be a little hot button movie, especially some of the movies I left off. And at times I was conflicted about this movie on here and where I put it even, but my number 7 is A Quiet Place Deuce.
I want it on record.
You're
not my bump.
Yeah,
Lies.
Bob's taking control over
Lies.
here.
The Iron Fist strikes again.
So I know this movie is very much a bridge sequel kind of movie where it doesn't really affect a whole lot of the world or the characters. However, this is the kind of movie to me where I don't always need a really dark premise or a lot of things going on. I think this is just a good, fun monster movie within itself. Having seen A Quiet Place, the first one, I'm able to just kind of watch this and enjoy it for the ride that it is. I know it doesn't really do anything crazy, but the acting is good. Cillian Murphy's in this. Emily Blunt's in
Cillian.
this.
We were corrected. It is Killian.
Is it?
Killian
Okay.
Murphy.
That's fine.
Brilliant Curfy.
But I just think the acting is good. I'm fine with this franchise. I like that it exists as this original kind of monster movie world where they're, doing a good job of building it out in a small scale. It's not this world bending apocalypse. I mean, it is, but like
it's literally.
well, but I mean, the focus is, a lot smaller and just getting from place to place and stuff like that, small communities. And I like it. I don't know. It's not something I have to put a whole lot of stock in. And I really just feel like I can just sit and enjoy it. And I did. And that's enough for me. It's not changing in like the genre or anything, but like it's enjoyable.
Did you have this on your list?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
No.
Okay, me neither.
I-
I
for
just,
some
I just
reason,
wanted
I
to make
just
sure before I
assumed-
chimed in more.
Yeah.
I will say that this one came pretty damn close to being off of my list, like
Okay.
entirely.
Is it on your list?
It's not on my list.
Oh, okay.
Like it's what I mean is I ranked all the movies I've seen this year because there are so
okay.
few, and just like whatever was
Just
bottom,
you
whatever
forgot.
was top,
Oh.
No, it was like it was very close to being on my worst of the list.
Oh,
of the year.
okay.
Oh, well.
Because for me, and this is the reason, is like I agree, like I'm glad this movie exists. I know that there's a need for this sort of thing. I would have probably loved this if I was a little bit younger. Like I loved like Signs, for example.
Sure,
Kind of
yeah,
falls into
okay.
that sort of like family accessible, if not friendly, horror entry. And I'm it's fine for that. But the fucking plot and everything about this movie washed over me and is in way past my rear view. I can't even fucking remember a thing about this movie. I remember I do remember like a handful of things, but like Cillian Murphy's performance in it, like he's a good actor, but I don't understand his fucking character. I remember being like baffled by him and like baffled by like what this movie even was. It felt like it was nothing to me, and I have no feeling towards it. So it was really low on my list.
Yeah, it didn't really blow my hair back, but it's also totally fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's the thing is like
Yeah.
my biggest gripe with it is that it leaves very little impression.
Yeah. And that's why even as high as I went with it, 7, I wouldn't have gone any further. But I was like, it makes me want to be like, I'll watch a third one, like if it comes out. And if it did, then I think this is like a solid entry in it. Now, if it just stopped there, that might be problematic because I'd be like, well, yeah, this movie didn't do anything.
So it is going to a third. Is that?
I mean, I would be
think so.
fine with it if it did, but I mean
if
I'm
it-
not
yeah.
100% sure.
I never really thought about it as a bridge movie. You said that, and I was like, is it? Is there a third one confirmed or anything?
I don't think it's
know.
confirmed, but as the movie ends, that's the way I felt. I was like, oh, this is just to make another one because it doesn't do anything and there is no real ending. People just get kind of split up and you're like, well, what? They never get back together? I guess they get back together in the fucking next movie, whenever that happens.
I guess, yeah.
But,
I don't know.
yeah,
To me, it's just kind of
It's okay.
just washes
Okay.
right over.
Yeah, I thought that would be the
Yeah.
consensus.
Yeah. My number 7 comes in at Halloween Kills.
Wait, do we skip Randy? I said A Quiet Place.
I did not say myself.
Oh,
but
my
okay.
bad, dude. I thought you were piggybacking off. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
I did want to chime in, but it's not.
Okay,
on that. My
gotcha.
number 7 was Fear Street 78.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I
right,
liked-
the trilogy here.
Yeah. Anybody else with this one? I take it no, probably.
No.
I didn't.
So I like this one a little bit better than the first one. To me, I mean, I feel like maybe I was primed for it because I really liked the feeling from the first one of getting, invested in some of these characters, even though these aren't the same characters in this
Yeah.
movie primarily. I kind of like the aesthetic of this, how they leaned into the tropes, but also took it in a lot of directions that I honestly would not have seen coming for a movie set in a summer camp, set in 1978, and clearly playing off of the slasher movies of that era and that setting. They really took it into some places that I didn't anticipate, and I appreciate that a lot for a movie franchise that is based on like fucking R.L. Stine books.
Yeah.
They took again, it's sort of like they're not as big of swings as like fucking like you said, Psycho Gorman or Malignant, but they took some swings for something that is kind of geared towards like teens, I would say. Like it's certainly teen focused, like the books were. I think that it's got some value in there, man. I don't know. I really enjoyed it I just kind of like enjoyed the journey, honestly. I just enjoyed myself. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
So,
I will say a lot of the same kind of critiques I kind of feel of A Quiet Place Deuce is kind of what I feel for the whole Fear Street trilogy, where it is a lot more focused on family or, like you said, teen oriented. And I do appreciate that. And this one was my favorite. It still holds out in my mind as like the best of the three for me because it came out around the time when we were wanting to watch summer camp films. Like it was perfect timing.
July.
And it fit it well. And the acting, that girl from Stranger Things was in it. She did a good job. Like the acting was good. But at the end of the day, it had a little bit of that Netflix plastic feel, and it just kind of like left a general bad, like faux candy taste in my mouth.
I know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, it's made for mass consumption. You know?
Yeah.
And it is like in that regard, that's one of the things against the whole franchise. But to me, it was like this one in particular was built for enjoyment. You know what I mean? It didn't have to establish anything, and it also didn't have to conclude any long established things. And everything about the movie that I can recall from now, like I haven't seen it since we saw it in summer, but I remember the third one being like pretty predictable and having some problems I didn't like about it. And then also the first one having that problem of me not being able to invest until a good way through the movie. This one didn't have any of that. And it just kind of fell in that perfect valley of just letting it happen and enjoying, these characters and it was still character driven. Like the characters were defined in their characteristics. Like they made decisions based on that rather than based on plot convenience and contrivance, which I appreciate. So
I think my favorite thing about this trilogy is the fact that Netflix took a swing and hired a director to make a horror trilogy to drop in the summer, like in releasing one movie per week, like 3 weeks back to back to back. I thought that was a cool, like kind of like summertime event to do.
Yeah.
I didn't love the movies necessarily, but I hope they do more stuff like that. It's a cool idea and it kind of helps shake Netflix up a little bit.
I would love to see more of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And even within the Fear Street world, they left something of a cliffhanger in the third one. I don't care to continue that necessarily.
I think they're trying to make some more.
They might, and I'll be interested to watch them. But like primarily, I'd love to see them like do these sort of like you said, like trilogies that are built in together rather than presumptive on the next movie happening, like Quiet Place we were talking about.
Right. Yeah.
I would even be cool with this kind of idea if they took this and made like a double feature thing out of it, where almost each episode was an hour and a half or something. Because like this one, you kind of have to watch them all to get the whole story.
You do. Yeah,
and three is maybe a little bit much. But if you played it as like a double feature, like an old school, go to the movies, spend like 4 hours there, have a little intermission or whatever. That would be cool. Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool thing to do. I think it could be oversaturated if they do it a lot. But
we'll
definitely.
See. All right, number 7. I already forgot what you said.
Halloween Kills is my number 7.
Oh, Bob.
Anybody on your list, Soju?
It is not.
It is not on mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Randy had a limited list.
I do.
As we definitely noted in our episode when we talk about Halloween Kills, there's plenty of problems with this movie. It was my most anticipated movie of the year, though. Like I thought Halloween 2018 was really solid, and I was interested to see what David Gordon Green was going to do with a sequel. And I think it being pushed back a whole extra year due to COVID just sort of like amped up my anticipation for it. I was like, man, I can't wait to see this fucking thing. It is not great. But again, similar to Malignant, like I feel like everybody was very energized by this movie. There's a lot of conversations happening. And I don't think it's all bad. I mean, it's got some like really serious kills. Some of the soundtrack was really baller. And it was cool to go to the theater to watch a brand new Halloween movie, like, you know, during the month of October. It's just like a really fun theatrical experience. So I don't like, it's a movie that just like lingers in my brain, and I can't stop thinking about where they're going to take the trilogy. And like, I don't think the third installment's really going to be good at all. I just, at this point, I'd kind of lost all hope. But I'm interested to see it, and it's a movie I'm glad exists. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add?
Talk about a bridge film. I mean, we talked about this. We're waiting to see if this film can have any kind of merit based on another movie coming out. I mean, we can't, like, at this point, it could be a complete piece of dog shit, or it could be like, that was interesting, and we just don't know.
It won't be interesting.
No.
Okay. But I mean, I'm talking about, you know, the critiques of A Quiet Place too. I mean, if we want to talk about a bridge film, like totally whiffing, Halloween Kills took all the swings and missed almost everyone, in my opinion.
I will say, like, things do happen in Halloween Kills. A lot of main characters are altered permanently. Whereas, like, you can't say that in A Quiet Place too.
Laurie walks away with a hook for a hand.
She turns into the Candyman.
But they're all characters that were introduced, like 90% in this movie.
No, I mean,
a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot.
I will say more when we get to a wider list.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Let us carry on to our number 6 of the year. Juice, what you got?
Number 6, Titanium, or Titanium, as I always just write it on my on my list. I just always write Titanium. That one, this new French extremity film from the director who directed Raw, which I really enjoyed a lot.
Julia Ducournau.
Actually, Randy blessed us. He had a list, and he's trying to burn through some before we cast it tonight, and we all watched this together one more time before. Yeah, come with me. Okay, 2 months back to back, Mom. You know, regulate yourself. Anyways, we watched this movie right before, and I'm glad because I had forgotten a lot of stuff that happened. This movie is brutal. It's a French extremity, of course, but this movie does a lot of interesting things. One, the body horror in it. So talking about the horror elements, the body horror is nuts in the fucking butt. I mean, I can't tell you, even watching it for the second time where I knew pretty much what was coming, how many times I had to look away or was so fucking squeamish. And I was not the only one. So this is not about any kind of like sensitivity. This movie is rough in the what it will make you look at department. And the body, okay. It's brutal in the body horror department. Also, Bob wanted to know what I thought. He did a mini episode on it, and I just didn't care for his take exactly.
Ooh, shit.
Fuck. I thought this movie was a really great, just kind of general metaphor because of the whole like metal aspect of it, but about identity, and specifically like a sexual kind of identity and a sexual, maybe particularly transformation, about being attracted to something that's a part of you because of what, I mean, I don't want to like spoil the movie completely, but about somebody who finds an attraction in themselves and because of it has to go through a transformation. Is kind of how I saw this movie, as like a metaphorical allegory. Both. Well, because of like how brutal some of the transformative things are, but also how much the biology plays into almost a curse of it, how it affects the general kind of like attraction and will of like the character. And I don't know, that was kind of my take on it.
I'm going to talk about this later in my list as well.
Oh, okay.
But like
okay.
I did talk about that in the minicast. I talked about a lot of stuff in the
Well,
minicast.
yeah, I guess.
I'll talk about it more a little bit later.
Yours was more focused on like family and adoptive family.
A lot.
Yeah. And that's why I was kind of like, oh, yeah.
Well, it's a love story.
Well,
but we'll talk about it.
I don't know.
Randy, your number 6.
My number 6 was a little film called Censor. On anyone's list?
No, I didn't watch this one.
No?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so Censor, for the uninitiated, was a film about a literal censor, somebody who worked for the government in the UK, censoring films and deciding which films should be on the video nasties list in the 70s and 80s.
That's interesting.
And the lead character, whose name is escaping me, basically is this very uptight person with some trauma in her backstory. And while I didn't think that this movie was necessarily like, I don't know, there were some things that I felt like it was a little weak on in this movie, and still have a hard time pinpointing what those things are, because the performance is strong by all the characters. The setting is really strong and really like puts you in a place, I feel like. I think that maybe it's just too easy to like, it feels like you're on rails a little bit is my biggest complaint about it. So I was pretty aware of where it was going for most of the film, I think. But I thought that it had a pretty strong idea at the core of it, being the idea of like censoring your own reality, and trying to cope with things by omitting them, basically. I thought that was an interesting idea. I thought that having this, this character sort of be just hell bent on that to the point where she takes up a career in that was very interesting. And then also corrupts that for herself in the pursuit of censoring her own reality in some way. I don't want to say much more than that for those who are going to watch, may watch. I think it's worth a look. Out of this batch this year, I mean, it really, to me, it wasn't like it wasn't a movie that I would put on most years' lists necessarily. I mean, it might or might not make it on like last year's list, but it was a pretty strong showing for this list, I think. So, Censor, check it out. I don't remember where it's streaming.
Yeah, okay. That's not even on my radar.
It might be a Shudder.
It's either that or Hulu. I think it's on Hulu, actually.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
My number 6.
My number 6.
You copying me again?
No.
Okay.
This is VHS 94.
Oh, hail Ratman.
Hail Ratman. This kind of gave me exactly what I wanted from a VHS movie. It was substantially better than VHS Viral. I kind of wrote this franchise off after seeing Viral. I was like, wow, that was
I think they did too.
Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of done with that. I don't think it's coming back. But they came back with this. I went straight to Shudder, and I was pleasantly surprised with it. The wraparound segment was a little lackluster.
Oh my god, that was the worst part.
But the first 3 out of the 4 shorts, I thought were pretty stellar, and then the 4th one kind of fell flat for me. The birth of Ratma, our Lord and Savior.
Ratma is the king of that movie for sure.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
I liked it. I thought Ratma looked solid. I mean,
I thought
not
that whole
perfect,
segment was the best segment. For sure.
Okay.
Really?
I don't agree, but
That's fine. For me, it was like, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
The second segment where the girl is like stuck in a funeral parlor with a body that may or may not be alive. I thought that was fucking great. I think that was directed by Simon Barrett, I think.
that's so funny. I think the third one was my favorite.
Really?
With
Which
the
was the third
doctor.
one? The doctor
The crazy doctor.
with the
I mean,
robot.
Castlevania.
Oh man, that was
Doom
by
point
far
of
my
view
least
thing.
favorite outside
Really?
of the
Wow.
robots. Yes.
Wow.
Wow, man. We
All
need
over
to
the
cover
board,
that.
yeah.
I just didn't, man, that was just, it just hit me as mega fucking silly. And it
yeah.
looked really rough to me.
See, I thought the rat thing looked rough.
But the rat thing's supposed to. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be grotesque and bizarre, whereas I don't know, the robot things looked like they were designed by like me in second grade.
Yeah.
And then somebody like threw them into fucking Corel Draw.
I thought that was a solid. I thought the action in that was cool, but it also played with the idea of like, when are you no longer human? Like these people are turned into cyborgs basically against their will, and like the cops don't even recognize them as being human anymore and like try and hunt them down. It's like it's super gruesome, but there's a lot of action in it, and it looks like Timo Tianto is the director of this. He's the guy from VHS2 that did the big cult segment with like
which was my favorite.
they conjure the demon and shit. Same guy. I forget where he's from. I really can't remember, but I feel like whatever money they give him goes a little bit further because his segments always look like they cost a lot more money than everybody else's. I don't know. I could be wrong on that.
I don't know. And I also want to walk back a little bit of that. It wasn't like that bad. I was trying to be funny, but it just to me like it's harder in fairness to do a convincing CG robot as is evidenced by the Transformers movies than it is to make a convincing bloody monster, because a bloody monster could be anything. It could be malformed in such a way as to be convincing. You know what I mean? So credit on that, I guess. I just did not like the segment. I thought it was way too goofy. Gotcha. But the wraparound was the worst to me. It was just like it was so. It was the acting. Honestly, I gotta be honest. The acting was so goddamn rough. I just could not handle it.
All right. Yeah. Number 5. Let's get into it.
I just want to see what that guy. Oh, he's from Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Number 5, Juice. What you got?
Number 5 is Antlers.
Did not see.
Wow. Okay. Anybody else include this one?
No.
Really?
No.
Bob, wow, we're conflicting tonight. Really? Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was all right.
I liked it. It's the same monster from Pet Sematary. What
Wendigo.
The Wendigo.
And that's also the ritual monster too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked it, dude. You know who's in this though? The fucking Team Todd.
Yeah.
And Randy had mentioned him at some point within maybe the past year and talking about how he kind of looked rough these days.
Oh, that was for El Camino.
Dude, you are correct. And for some reason, it was distractingly so.
Yes, it is.
I was like, wow, like through the whole movie. Yeah. I was like, man,
I haven't seen that one. Honestly, I don't know that I would feel that way in a movie where I don't already know the character as being a young thin guy.
Yeah, okay,
that was what kind of tossed
it still distracted me. But also too, this year I watched Friday Night Lights, and he's also in that, but as a teenager, so I think it was an even bigger jump.
Jesse Plemons is the actor.
Yeah,
who is a good actor. I want to point
out.
No,
yeah, he does a good job
for his appearance, which is not cool, really. But
no, for some reason it was you. I remember you had mentioned it, and I thought the same exact thing. I was like, this is almost like distracting.
He looked exactly how I remembered him. Like I was not shocked at all about his appearance.
In Antlers?
Yeah, I looked the same.
I haven't seen it, so
okay. Well, anyways, though, I like another monster movie produced by Del Toro, and this one was dark. It dealt with like child abuse, which doesn't sound great or whatever, but
sounds great.
I gotta see this.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Butts
and seats.
It had this small town. It kind of had this almost allegory for small town America, which that setting is not always explored unless it's like a Texas Chainsaw Cannibal type thing where the people are just absolute monsters. It was interesting to see this very small mining rundown town and how it kind of operated and how people would not know how the fuck to deal with what's going on there. I like that setting and that aspect of the film. And these kids too are almost just given up on because out of necessity for everything. I mean, they're like, who's gonna take care of these kids? There's no type of like anything in this town set up for it, so they're just left with their parents and stuff. I don't know. I thought it had some good like allegories, and it was interesting stuff that's not really tackled a whole lot in horror, at least. I thought it was good. I thought that little kid did a great job too, a performance. So yeah, I thought it was good. It was one that I was intense. This is the one film, it's like not my favorite, obviously. This is the one film where I watched it and I was like, I feel like that met the expectations that I had when I saw the trailer. Mm-hmm. Not that it blew me away, but I was like, yeah, that's what I expected that film to be.
Got what you paid for.
Yeah, and it was pretty solid. It was pretty good.
The monster was pretty dope.
Yeah. So I don't like how they explained it just like to your face.
Yeah,
But
it's,
that
I
was
mean, I
kinda
guess
weak.
they're just assuming most people that don't really know about a Wendigo, so they
Yeah.
like full on
They
look at the
have
camera and they're like,
to.
okay, people,
There's-
here we go.
There's one moment where it's in the cave and it's like wearing a face.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
that shit was
fucked up.
brutal. I liked it. I liked it.
The,
I thought it
like,
was good.
Wendigo birth scene.
Yeah.
pretty tight.
Yeah, man. See, yeah, it was fucking good. I liked it for a monster
It
movie.
was okay.
Randy, out of dude, every
Out of
movie
five?
this year
What?
was
Number
or
five.
number 5, yeah.
Number
Out of 5.
going straight back to the tracks. My number 5 was The Boy Behind the Door, which I don't believe you guys had watched.
This
Didn't
is
see that.
another one I did not see.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember how I ended up watching this movie. It wasn't on my radar to begin with. It was just a random choice one night.
Why is he behind the door?
The Kids Behind the Door. Well, it's a film.
Is it the warm side of the door?
No, I would argue that it is not.
Bummer.
I would argue that there isn't one in this particular film. So this is a movie led by really one child actor, and then who is abducted and chained up in a house, and then manages to sort of like get out of his chains and finds another boy, one of his best friends, actually his best friend rather, like full on, like they have an established relationship, a friend that had gone missing recently. He finds, I might be misremembering some of that, but he finds his best friend behind a door, chained up by these fucking sicko people. We don't know what happened to him. We don't know what they're doing to him, but it's heavily implied that it's bad. So this is a movie about those kids trying to, like the first kid trying to help the second, and it's very, very, very dark in some aspects. But the friendship between these two kids is so well played, and the actors, these young actors, were so fucking incredible. I would recommend this movie a lot. Like, I don't think that it's not a movie that's got like, you know, a lot of hidden meaning that I particularly sussed out or anything like that, which is something I have a proclivity towards, you know, and I think that we generally do. But it is a fucking heartrending journey, I would say, for them. And I don't know. It's tough to describe without spoiling too much, but it is. I just like the way it plays out, I guess I'll say. So,
sweet.
Yeah.
Huh, all right. Bob, number 5.
Number 5, I got Titan or Titanium.
All right, Bob, what'd you like about this movie?
I've never seen a movie quite like this before. It's very much got the
You've seen Tetsuo.
body horror aspect. Yeah, true.
Not
Yeah.
sexy, though.
It's
Not as sexy as Tetsuo.
This definitely has some like Cronenberg vibes. He's got some Tetsuo vibes, but it's not quite like any other movie I've ever seen. I started my mini cast out by saying I don't really know what the fuck this movie's about. I feel like it was touching on a lot of stuff. I feel like it was definitely, like you mentioned, talking about like gender norms and gender stereotypes, how people choose to present themselves. I think it's definitely touching on like familial standards and norms, whereas like we get this character who is brought up in a house that I guess her father's a doctor. She comes from substantial means, I guess. But he's not there for her in any sort of like emotional way. He's very cold towards her, like doesn't even really say a word to her.
Well, she just also seems abrasive to him
True.
naturally. They just don't seem to mesh.
I mean, true. But this movie, I don't think fits a very like clean metaphor, or if it does, I just am not there yet. But she leaves that family, literally burns them like to death, and then goes and is embraced by this firefighter and like learns how to stop fires, and then is fully embraced and accepted by him and loved by him. Fucked up though he may be, like they actually form a very serious bond. So there's like a parallel between these two families in the movie. Is that the sole point of the movie? Probably not.
I don't know. I have a lot. I having just watched this,
Yeah,
I am very much still parsing it, and hearing this makes me want to chime in.
Yeah,
but maybe I should give it a minute. I just don't know what to say about it. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think she's touching on a lot of stuff in this movie, but I like the aesthetics of it. The acting is incredible. The main actress, I forget her name, is her first performance. She fucking kills it. Everybody does a great job. It's like the best soundtrack of the year.
Yeah,
every song is a banger.
Yeah.
It leaves you thinking, even if you don't necessarily like it, you can't help but think about this movie after you see it. Visually stunning, It left a mark. I liked it a lot. So.
Yeah, it definitely left a mark. Yeah, I mean, I get it is like it is. I wouldn't call it a love story. Acceptance out of necessity. For both of them in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily love, because it's built on complete lies and grief and drugs and other things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's the right word
Well,
for
it's
it.
it's not a.
But I
yeah.
think the overall arc, I mean, I guess that one is too because of the friction with her parents at the beginning. But I saw it more as about the transformation in that opening scene where she as a child, especially around the kind of puberty level, like she's still on the young side, but like 11 or 12, I think would be fair, gets that titanium plate. And once it's inside her and a part of her, as soon as it's a part of her, that's where they introduce the idea of the attraction to the self, where as soon as metal is a part of her identity, she is attracted to metal. So I thought that was used as kind of like an outside the sexual norm way of saying like the attraction to yourself, something that's inside you that you relate to that nobody else really can, and that's not seen as normal. I mean, there's a scene where she's having two scenes where she's having sex with a car.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think that's an extreme, such a way, but to show it in a way that's like it's a part of her, and so that's where her attraction comes from. It's not seen as normal by anyone around her. So I don't know. That's kind of where I got that from.
Well, I mean, she progresses quite a lot. She grows up a lot in the movie because the beginning scene, she's having sex with like, this like thugged out car with like flames on it. It's this dope Cadillac. And then later in the movie, she's banging a fire truck.
She's really growing,
She's grounded.
maturing in that
That's called
stage.
Yeah.
maturation.
Maturation.
Sometimes you stop looking for a place
Growth.
to park your fucking your Hot Wheels and you start looking for a place. I don't know. I got nothing. I started
To park
there.
your trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. All right. Number 4, let us continue. Juice, what you got?
Number 4 for me. Ooh, I think this is gonna be a hot one, especially for Bob. The Stylist. Did anybody else have this on their list?
I did not see it.
No.
Okay, so this is one that me and Bob did a little trailer reaction thing to, like way earlier in this year, and I didn't actually see this movie until September, I think, ish, and I was very surprised by this film. Very surprised. What I liked about this film is it's a very feminine film. And what I mean by that is it's written and directed by a woman. A lot, like most of the cast is like are women. There's like one guy who even has any kind of lines, I think. And it's from the perspective of the serial killer, who's a woman. But everything about it is done in this feminine way because of her job, but also the style of it is so great. But it also this is one of the best movies that I have seen, like visually capture like social anxiety and what's that like disorder, anti-personality or
Dissociative identity disorder?
No, that's not it. You're talking about
and what is it?
we're antisocial personality.
Thank you.
disorder.
Yeah, that.
Which
But
that's a whole barrel of fish.
yeah, and I did a mini cast on this, but essentially what I loved about this, there's this woman who is a beautiful woman and is very stylish, but suffers from so much anxiety and doubt and insecurity in herself that in order to just cope with life, she has to kill people in her like stylish chair. She cuts hair and takes their scalps so that she in her private life can wear them to become those women, the ones that she thinks are successful, the ones that she thinks are beautiful. And anytime she has to interact within her own skin, her own self, she like completely falls apart. She's incapable of making like real relationships and stuff like that. And I just thought it represented it so well through so many different interactions. it kind of blew me away in that fact. Also very stylish. I love the color palette and the clothes that she wears. Like I said, it's a very feminine yet like the killer is very interesting. It's very bloody, it's very gory, but the whole movie as a whole is just very feminine. It felt refreshing. Especially for some of the things we were seeing. I liked it a lot. The ending was like a little like not surprising, predictable, and it didn't do any like, but the whole journey, I was like scene after scene after scene, I was blown away at the journey of this woman, and I thought like the writing and directing was spectacular. I was really like surprised and blown away by it. So the stylist.
Right on. Randy, what's your number 4?
My number 4. Now we're entering the realm, for me anyway, where these could probably start being rearranged in any order on a given day.
Yeah,
My number 4 was Candyman. Anybody else with Candyman?
Yes.
Oh wow. No. It
No?
did not even make my list.
Wow.
Okay.
Soon? Should I
Yeah,
hold up?
it'll be up soon. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay.
That's
All
great.
right. So, all right, Candyman.
Candyman, we'll circle back to Candyman. My number 4 is Saint Maud. Anybody got that?
I got
Yeah,
it.
I got it later.
All right, well, we'll come back.
All right. Let's let Soju run it again.
Number 3, Soul Juice. What you
Oh
got?
damn it! I thought it was gonna be Saint Maud, but it's not. It's Last Night in Soho. Anybody got that?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
this
we're
is
just gonna
not
start getting to the point where we need to start.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
okay, Randy, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a little film called Psycho Gorman.
Okay,
Wow.
all the way up at 3.
At
Okay,
number 3. Yeah. So I don't know. I was thinking about my list today, and I started thinking about it yesterday. And this one just kind of really stands out to me. Like, I don't know that I've seen a movie quite like this that was successful at being this sardonic and silly and funny and stupid all at once in the horror genre in a while. Like, it just really hit that pleasure point for me. I'm a sucker for horror comedy when it's done well. And to me, this movie could have very easily skewed off in a direction that I hated. I can totally understand the complaints people have about the little girl's annoying. Like, that character is fucking annoying, but I think it's by design. And I think that, similar to how I feel about like the kid in the Babadook, that it adds rather than subtracts for me because of the intention behind it, or what I perceive to be the intention behind it. As being like sort of this Mad Magazine take on a Power Rangers horror movie.
yeah,
I fucking love that. I love like, again, this is a huge swing movie, like where you've got fucking, in the words of Scaredy Cats on YouTube, wet puppets. Like, the wet puppetry in this movie is fucking amazing. I love that. And I love that description too. But there's something like visually, aesthetically, like appealing about this beyond just nostalgia, which I know that it panders quite a bit to people our age, basically. But I don't know. I think that it goes beyond that. I think that it is funny on its own merits. I think that it plays with these characters in really stupid and fun ways. And I don't know. To me, I just look back on it so fondly. I just couldn't really justify putting it much lower on the list than this.
okay.
So,
Well, yeah, I thought the movie had a lot of laughs, and I enjoyed the, like you said, wet puppets in it.
Yeah,
But I felt like it was a little like one note, and by the end of the movie, I was a little bit bored by it. But not a terrible movie.
that's how you
for
should
sure.
feel about Mad Magazine.
yeah.
All right, my number 3 is Candyman.
Okay, so now I'm like starting to lose track about what we can talk
I
about.
don't know.
All right, so this one is one that didn't make my list.
Okay, well, this, we talked about this a few months back, whenever it came out, a couple months back.
September-ish, August.
October, yeah, something like that. But I don't know, like we had some problems with it overall, but like I watched it, I revisited the movie again, because I remember like we had a big problem with the third act, and it felt a little bit rushed and somewhat confused, or like at least I was confused by it. On a second watch, though, I feel like this movie's biggest sin was trying to tie this into the original so closely. Like, I feel like if they had just like made some references to like Cabrini Green back in the day, back in the 90s, and like there's some crazy lady running around or something, and didn't like tie our main character into that story, it would have like let this movie breathe a little more and be sort of its own thing, and the mythology wouldn't have been quite so muddled at the end of it. On top of that, though, I thought it was like shot beautifully. The cinematography in this movie is insanely good.
Definitely agree with that.
There's a lot of really inventive kill sequences. I love the design of Candyman in this movie, how he floats around. The way there's a lot of like in-camera tricks with like his image appearing in mirrors is done really well. The score was incredible. I don't know, just like my biggest problem is I wish Hollywood didn't do this whole like, it's a reboot, but it's also a direct sequel. Like just make your own movie. Like it's like people feel so obligated to like blow the original that they have to include the original, but not those bullshit sequels, right? Like you get to pick and choose now because Star Wars did it. Now everybody wants to do it. It's annoying. And I kind of wish that wasn't like so popular. And I think this movie would have been better if it didn't.
You know what's weird is I agree with the sentiment of that, but I liked that aspect of this movie, I think.
Did you
And,
really?
like looking back on it now, I don't remember at all what I said about this movie originally. So I'm probably being hypocritical in some way. But looking at it like in hindsight, I really like I don't have a big problem with them tying that in. To me, that is a reasonable way of tying the originals in while also broadening the scope of what the Candyman lore is and what it entails. It's not just God, what's the fucking name? Robitaille. It's not just
Daniel Robitaille.
Daniel Robitaille. It's Daniel Robitaille plus a cacophony of other people who are stand-ins for this, sort of allegorical traumatic thing.
I like that.
Yeah.
But like the main character being also in the original movie is bothersome.
I guess I can see that, but to me it didn't bother me because it was a way of tying it in that wasn't that much of a, I don't know, to me it did not hurt. Like it didn't hurt the movie to have that. And seeing God, what's her name? The woman who plays his mother is so fucking, I was like, oh my God. I was excited about that.
Yeah.
And I was I don't know, like I guess I did have a little bit of a fan mark with it, but it was beyond that. I honestly don't think it harmed the movie very much. And I think that the movie overall to continue is beautiful. Again, like you said, like totally beautiful. I loved the kills we did get. My biggest complaint might be from sitting here at the end of 2021 is that there was not enough of Candyman wreaking havoc on, there weren't enough red shirts maybe, which is something I would almost never argue for. But in this case, I feel like there needed to be more of scenes like the art gallery scene. You know what I mean? I wish there was a couple more of those in there to round it out. And I would have been a happy boy, I think. Otherwise, I really love this movie.
It's funny because we all have similar sentiments, but like completely different takes on it. I think that's why I ended up keeping this movie off my list. And part of it, it's this movie's fault exclusively, but I am tired of this bullshit. And even like I'm a little bit weary because of Screams coming out. I'm tired of this idea of like we said, you have to pay so much tribute to the beginning. However, with this movie, the things they wanted to do new, I thought were so ham-fisted and shoved down your goddamn throat with no tact. And the things that so it was a sequel because they're carrying a character from the first movie over, and yet they completely, in order to get their new take on it, like totally neglected, I thought, a lot of the cool things that made the first one unique and interesting in its own self, to have their own take on it. I guess the the ties, I wish that I didn't feel the need for them to have a new Candyman and for him to dress exactly the same as God, what's his name?
Daniel Robitaille.
Yeah, but the actor.
Oh, Tony Todd.
Yeah. I wanted, like, if you're going to use Tony Todd's voice and you're going to make it a direct sequel about a thing, then like, come on, Tony Todd is still capable and still able to do these things. And I thought the way that they did, like, okay, there's this new guy, but we also need this other guy to tell you all about it. So we're going to feed you a lot of dialogue between it. And then that guy's going to come back at the end and have this direct impact on like everything that happens. And our main character was kind of left in the dust a little bit, where there were cool, like the apartment scene I thought was great. Had it been Tony Todd, like, I felt that the take that they wanted to take, it's like they were split between two choices, and instead of making one, they half-assed both of them.
Oh, man.
And their own take, I thought, was ham-fisted and not done eloquently. And the Tony Todd thing was completely neglected until the end, where they want to show his face, and sometimes they use his voice. And I was like, come on, guys! Like,
I
pick a
could not
lane.
disagree with any of
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Like, to me, it's like this is like the idea of broadening the scope of what Candyman is beyond that actor. Oh yeah, beyond that actor is so valuable to me, because like just on a ground level, like if you want the Candyman series to have any future, and I know that they do,
yeah.
they want it to go beyond Tony Todd, and Tony Todd God bless him, he's not going to live forever. He's not going to be like, we don't want fucking Grand Moff Tarkin's plasticky face in his next Candyman.
It's true, but okay, but why dress this guy okay, so we're gonna add to the story.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
why
don't-
put him in the same coat?
because it's the look.
dumb.
It's not
I know,
dumb.
but that's where I'm saying the half-ass thing. It's like they
Dude,
still want to be
how
like,
many
hey,
fucking Friday
remember
13th movies have people wearing the mask?
Tony
How many?
Todd? Like,
And if you
oh.
want to hear the conclusion
I
of
don't know,
this
man. I disagree
discussion,
with you.
check out our
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
on Candyman 2021. Let's hit our number 2, Juice. What you got?
So now we can talk about Saint Maud, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
same mod. Yeah,
That's my number 2 as well.
It's your 2, and it was your
number
3?
4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. So Saint Maud, this is one of the first ones that came out this year. And at the time, we thought it was going to be a banger year. All this shit. So at the time, I was like, this is kind of, for me, I was like, it didn't. We were talking about the A24 flavor kind of being predictable
Very
a little bit.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm looking back and I'm like judging this movie next to all the ones that we've mentioned, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's predictable for A24, but at the end of the day, it was acted very well. It was a very interesting character study. It's got the horror elements too, where this woman just has a complete breakdown, freaks the fuck out. There's maybe some demon involved. So I mean, looking back now, I think it's one of the stronger. It's completely original, talking about it's not a sequel, it's not this reboot, it's not. So I want to support and appreciate films like that, and I do. And I don't know. So I just judging it against everything else from a horror aspect, from a cinematography aspect, from an original aspect, I think it kind of knocks most of the other ones away in those regards.
Yeah. I kind of agree with basically everything you said. The first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know, this feels very samey, I guess. It's specifically one scene towards the end. You're like, okay, well, this, somebody watched The Witch and was like, hey, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, and they kind of do, and it feels like a little lame because you've seen it before. But at the same time, this movie is made extremely well. The performances are insanely good. It is an original story, and it's very straightforward in a way that I think I didn't appreciate at first, but now sitting at the end of the year looking back at everything else I saw, I really appreciate, because the biggest problems I've had with a lot of movies this year is in the writing. The script tries to outdo itself, and because of that it undoes itself. This is just start to finish straightforward. You get this story, you know what it is, and either you like it or you don't. We were getting into Candyman, and we got into some other stuff too, where the script is just
a mess,
half-baked. Yeah, and that's the thing. It doesn't cost money necessarily. It just takes time. Just do one more pass, bro. Work it out just a little.
What do you mean it doesn't cost
just
money?
a little bit more? Well, I mean, you're not spending $1 million a week shooting.
CG,
or
It's not as
whatever.
expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you buy a script from somebody, and then that's kind of it. But I don't know. Just spend time with it. Is what it's the cheapest.
I don't know.
aspect,
I
guess,
don't
is what I
know
would say.
that I would say that the movie is so egregious in that respect. I mean, I don't know. To me, the movie is sold by the acting performances and by the commentary being made about what people choose to believe. And I think that's a common thread in a lot of my favorite horror movies, is what people choose to believe about the world around them in order to either justify something or explain something away or whatever. And in this movie, it's kind of all of that happening at once. And it takes a while for you to really get a bead on that, even as you sort of get to know the character and what they're going through and what their mindset is. and see them sort of falter and come back and, you know, do all these things. Like, I don't know, it was very compelling to me, and it was also very subdued. It was like very much that A24 thing that people like, you know, some people like to complain about, which is that it's so slow. It's so slow. Yeah, it's slow. It's methodical. It's kind of taking its time to set a place and time. It is not bombastic in the least. And I like, if you can't appreciate a quiet movie from time to time, I don't know what to tell you. I sure do.
Yeah.
I think that this movie kind of, you know, it's not thrusting on every single cylinder at full force, but I think it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a solid ass movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so too. Yeah.
Sweet. That was your number 2?
That was my deuce.
That was your deuce. Randy, what is your number 2?
Same one.
Same one. Okay, so my turn.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Last Night in Soho.
Okay,
Keep
this
the
is where I
spoilers
had a-
minimal for my effect.
Yeah.
Okay,
My
okay.
benefit, please.
Yeah, we can-
This
I'm
is
dying
where we
see
have
that
to
movie.
switch all around
Right.
because this was my number 3.
Your number 3. Okay. And Randy has not seen it, so we'll go
Yeah.
light on these spoilers. So this is Edgar
So
Wright's
the last
latest-
scene where
Edgar Wright's latest movie. Again, it's made so well. Edgar Wright knows how to craft a movie. The cinematography is incredible. Again, similar to Candyman, there's a lot of like in-camera tricks with mirrors because we've got these two characters that are sort of parallels. So we play back and forth with that. The performances are baller. Anya Taylor-Joy kills it.
Anya.
Anya Taylor.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
I'm from Wisconsin, apparently.
What?
The soundtrack is littered with like 60s pop music, which is like really, really cool and enjoyable. The costumes are fucking cool. It's like full of dread, and it's got like I don't know, some twists and turns. I guess I'll leave it at that. It was a joy to watch in the theater. Very cinematically pleasing. I don't know. I've got some problems with the script, but I won't get into them for Randy's sake.
God bless you.
Yeah, I will say like it was. So this is my number 3. So we're still top 5 here.
Yeah.
But and it's another original, so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Edgar Wright, very talented. It's got, like you said, it's great style and great music. The third act,
Yeah.
I didn't care for where they took that. And
Yeah.
and to be honest, so if we're talking in 3 acts here, the first act, I thought great setup. I was
Sure.
really
Yeah.
intrigued. Loved how they set that up. Anya Taylor-Joy's character, the transformation, like even the girl, like what her affliction is and how she comes to this situation, for Randy.
I love
But
it.
anyways,
I love it.
So the first, I really dug the first act. I thought the second act where they chose to focus, and I thought they didn't use Anya Taylor-Joy as much as they should.
Mhm.
Once they kind of abandon it, it almost becomes these more like flashy scenes, and she doesn't have as much speaking role, and it's more about like what happened, and it's not actually her character developing. It's more things that are like happening to this character. I thought that was a huge misstep because I was like, how are you gonna not use Anya Taylor-Joy?
Well, and there's a reason for that, but we can't.
Okay.
Well, we can't. Really
Well,
talk about-
so so the second act, I started being like, "Whoa, wait, where are you taking me, guy?" And by the third act, I was like, "I wish you didn't take me here," because
Yeah.
the CG,
Yeah.
like the effects in the third act are rough, in my
Yeah.
opinion, and that's not where I wanted that story to go.
Same. I didn't like where it landed, but
Yeah.
I overall enjoyed the ride. I did not like where it landed though.
Yeah. So
Still definitely worth watching. Obviously,
For
it's
sure.
pretty high on both of our lists. Edgar Wright,
Check it out.
luckily for him, he can make a movie.
I'm excited to. One of my favorite directors. I'm dying to see it.
yeah.
We're into our number 1, top spot.
Oh
of the year.
boy.
Juice, what you got?
Well, I had to do, and I was conflicted because at least last year, I don't know. I've mentioned before about like how pure horror would kind of take my number or have an influence on my number 1 spot. Nightmare Alley, we just watched it, we just covered it. And it's not pure horror like even Saint Maud is and stuff like that, but it's just too damn good.
So this is also my
I
number
haven't seen
one.
that either.
I know, yeah.
Oh fuck.
Randy.
We'll
I'm
like
dying to see both of these movies. You have no idea.
I mean, we just covered it last week.
I
for
know,
God's
but
sakes,
yeah.
It just
no,
came
yeah,
out.
I'm just saying we won't do
we won't
spoilers.
spoil
Yeah.
it. This movie, like, I kind of struggled, same to you, Juice. I was like, is this horror enough to include on my list? Especially the top spot. I was like, I don't know, going back and forth on it. But like, honestly, this movie has like a consistent sense of dread in it.
Sure,
it's full of tension. The overall character arc is horrific. Most of the main actors here are like playing terrible people. There's like more murders in this movie than there are in like Halloween. and also,
is that true?
That is absolutely true. There's also basically like way more gore, and like when the kills happen, they hit you harder. Like, so
wait, I can only think of 3 people who died in this film.
no, there's like 6.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I always block out that scene. Or I forget about that
it's
scene.
fucked up.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's more than Halloween, but okay.
It is. It absolutely is.
Okay.
I promise. So I don't know. That was enough for me. I honestly, like, this movie is more difficult to watch than most of the other movies we talked about.
I knew those were gonna be fucking baller movies.
Yeah.
I'm so upset.
So yeah, that's why I had to pick this one. It's just like too damn good. And you know what though? How I kind of justified myself a little bit, not even talking about the gore. I was like, a huge part of this is carnival based, which is the setting. I mean, you talking about American Horror Story had a whole season about it.
Rob Zombie's real life.
Okay. And old school like movies, like what was that one that we watched? That
Nightmare Alley.
No, that old
From the
carnival
40s.
movie. Randy
Carnival
picked it.
Souls. I
No.
don't think I picked.
Oh, you're
that.
talking about Freaks.
Freaks.
Yeah.
Freaks. I was
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Freaks.
And there's also, like, if you want to go into bridging the gap, you've also got Stranger on a Train into the carnival.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. I forgot
Yeah,
about that. So there's a theme there. It also does a little bit with like ghosts and stuff. And as you said, there's some like really solid kills. And the movie is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just too damn good to not take my
talk
number one
about.
spot.
Yeah, and nobody saw this movie. It made no money. Do yourself a favor if it's showing
Like,
around
no
you.
fucking
Go watch
Do
this
the
movie.
movie industry a favor.
Yeah.
Like
It's so
I'm dying.
beautiful and like amazing to watch on the big screen.
yeah, it is breathtaking. It's a breathtaking.
Take a
movie.
break from your Spider-Man.
Also, like, shouts out to Bradley Cooper, because like I had some doubts going into this because he's carrying the movie as our main character, and I was like, I don't know if he can do it. And also, all the love in the world to Del Toro, but he's been known to cast some like kind of plain leads, in my opinion, anyways. Bradley Cooper kills it. He does such a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude in Pacific Rim. He's pretty
Yeah. Yeah, he really
I was trying to think of
is.
some other ones, but
Yeah, you got
that's the one that stood out to me.
Yeah. Crimson Peak too. That's the same dude, actually. Maybe it's just that guy.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't
that.
know why Del Toro cast him twice or even cast him
Charlie
once.
Hunnam is his name. That's
He's
yeah.
not great.
He's just a white dude. Like,
I guess I haven't. It's been too long since I've seen Crimson Peak. I don't remember him being in
easy to forget him.
Yeah,
As
I was
the main
thinking,
character.
Loki and what's her name? The lead.
I don't
actress.
remember him being in
God, I'm
it
blanking
either.
on that.
Yeah, he's like
Let's remember.
the straight dude who was courting the lady,
Yeah,
and then she
that
gets
makes sense.
swept away by Loki.
Okay.
Swept away.
Anyways.
Yeah, Nightmare Alley. Randy, what's your number one?
Yeah, what is this? What
The Nighthouse.
Oh, okay. I forgot that we.
Nice.
The
Damn.
Nighthouse.
This was my number 9.
Yeah.
Same.
Same?
Yeah, number 9.
Yeah.
Oh, for you, number 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and maybe this is partially spurred by a recent conversation about it.
yeah.
But like,
yeah.
in retrospect, I was thinking about this movie and all that it did, and honestly, I don't think that I can ignore oh my God, what's her name? Fucking
Rebecca Fry.
not Rebecca Black. I'm so
Uh,
sorry to both Rebeccas.
I'm googing it
Thank
for
you.
you.
Anyway, she kills it. She's great, and like it's one of the better acting. It's probably the best acting performance I've seen on this list, maybe.
Rebecca Hall.
Rebecca Hall, thank you. It just fucking broke my heart in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
it felt very, very, very fucking real and lived in. And I have so much respect for that. I was feeling for this character from top to bottom. I also like hated her in some respects, because she's a flawed person. That is the line you want to toe with your lead character in a movie like this. And I think that like the way that they approached the shall we call it a demon? Shall we call it a presence? Whatever.
I don't know.
A non-presence,
Whatever it was,
it
yeah.
was.
Nothing.
The way they
Nothing,
portrayed
literally.
it was fucking awesome. I loved the way it fucking looked. I loved the way that they like subtly worked it in a lot of ways, and then slowly built your awareness of it. I loved the like central allegory and the central like premise of this movie. To our conversation, Justin, we talked about this a little bit, where I really feel like this movie is not meant to be taken 100% at face value. I think it's meant to be taken as a story about grief, alcoholism, and depression. And honestly, on that level, taking it as, you know, how a person might fall into those depths and might perceive it, whether or not it's something that's actually happening to this character within the confines of the internal logic of the story, that metaphor serves as the god of this movie.
Yeah.
And everything is filtered through that lens. And that's, to me, like, that's fucking good storytelling. That's good writing. I don't necessarily need it to hang together on the same level as like Star Trek or some shit. Like it doesn't need to hit every logical, like I don't need to, like I don't have the feeling that, like I made this comparison on Slack. It's not like where I walk into a musical and start saying like, why are these people fucking singing? People don't sing. This is bullshit. And then I walk out. Like I can understand the poetry of what they're doing and the artistry of it because it's an artistic way of expressing a feeling.
Yeah.
And I was very enraptured by that feeling, in particular because of Rebecca Hall's performance.
She did do a good
kills
job,
it,
especially for a movie that's only got like 3 people in it. Anyways,
It's
she
her
killed
movie.
it. That scene where she's the teacher and she's in her office and the mom comes in.
Yeah.
That scene. And this is another movie. This has happened. Candyman and I don't know, several movies that I mentioned on my list that just lost me in the third act. Where I was with them and I wanted them to land their very interesting themes. But to me, talking about the poetry of it, to me, the idea of saying like there's nothing after death and then giving that a personification that calls itself nothing actually feels quite childish to me. That feels like some of the most basic ass shit I thought I'd ever seen at the time. I was like, the demon calls itself nothing?
I did not read it that way. I don't know if the demon
Ooh.
calls itself anything. To me, that is purely a presence that is there that because of Rebecca's trauma, period. Like it is like whether or not like I don't know, you can they didn't put like enough lore in there for me to worry with the nuts and bolts of the lore.
Well, I think, and the problem I had too is a lot of the story progression hinged on it being perceived as real. So, okay, one thing if it's infecting your house, but then when she sees ghost women that lead her far, far, far from her home to show her something that's real, that's tangible. She's in an actual backwards house and leads her to a bookstore where her husband was and leads them to find out that her husband was willing to murder like several women just because he thought this demon was after her, plants it in the story that the demon is real.
See, and to me, like I see all of that as okay, this other house, the Nighthouse, as it were, is a manifestation that is a secret home that somebody builds while who has horrible crippling depression, who is trying to protect the one person that they love from that depression. They're trying to protect her, not from a demon, but from what infects him, what torments him, which is depression, anxiety, whatever, all of these horrible things. And he does not want to spread that to his wife. He wants, that's the reason he's still alive, is to protect her. And he kills all these women, which is a horrible idea. And that is, to me, is the allegory being that when you are trying to protect somebody you care about from what torments you, you hurt others in the process. And so, like, I don't know, to me, like taking that too literally as like, oh, there are ghost women. Like, I don't give a shit that they're ghost women. They're metaphorical ghosts that are talking about the trail of quote unquote dead you leave behind, the ripple effect of what your own trauma is in the world, and how inevitably it catches up with you unless you are strong enough to share it with the people you care about and let them help you.
Okay. Maybe this one we need to cover.
Very different reads. Yeah, literally versus metaphorically. That's an extreme. Yeah,
like
different.
Doesn't get much more opposing than that.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about with that movie, and it's worth watching.
It is worth watching.
It's on all of our lists.
All of our lists. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's go ahead and run down our list real quick, just for anybody trying to jot these down as we've been going through them. Juice, you want to go 1 to 10? Start
1 to 10.
Yeah,
All right.
run them down. Yeah.
I did Nightmare Alley, Saint Maud, Last Night in Soho, The Stylist, Antlers, Titan, A Quiet Place Deuce, Psycho Gourmand, The Nighthouse, and Lamb.
Quiet Deuce.
Quiet Deuce.
Never had one of those.
Randy,
What's that?
1 through 10. Run them down.
For me, it's The Nighthouse, number 1, number 2, Saint Maud, number 3, Psycho Gourmand, PG. Number 4, Candyman. Number 5, The Boy Behind the Door. Number 6, Censor. Number 7, Fear Street 78. Number 8, VHS 94. Number 9, Fear Street 94. And number 10, Malignant.
Nice.
All right.
Bob, 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Number 1 had Nightmare Alley. 2, Last Night in Soho. 3, Candyman. 4, Saint Maud. 5, Titan. 6, VHS 94. 7, Halloween Kills. 8, The Last Matinee. 9, The Nighthouse. And 10 was Malignant.
All right. Not like
Wildly
too
different.
samey,
Yeah.
but
No, it's pretty
Yeah.
divergent, I would say.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty proud of us, or proud of maybe horror in general, for having its best showings be so many original films.
yeah.
True.
You know, like as
Yeah.
opposed to like on my list, between Fear Street, VHS, and Candyman, those are the only adaptations and reboots, etc., that are on my list. Everything else is an original property.
Yeah, so I guess the original properties on mine are Saint Maud, Last Night in Soho, The Stylist, Antlers,
Mhm.
Titan,
Yeah.
Psycho Gourmand, The Nighthouse, and Lamb. Almost
all
all of
yours,
them. Yeah.
Yeah, all of mine were original IPs except for Candyman, VHS 94, and Halloween Kills.
So man, we need to give our love and our money to these fucking original
Yeah,
properties. To
originals.
Rob's credit, I haven't seen it, but if fucking Nightmare Alley is that goddamn good, get your asses out and see it.
And that, yeah, that's
even
that's taken number 1, and that's such an old movie, anyways. That it's like
what? Nightmare Alley?
the original.
The original.
Oh, the
like
original.
talking
Oh, I'm
about
sorry,
like I
yes.
know it's not
Gotcha.
like an original property, but I mean it's not
Is that actually a reboot of that?
it's,
I thought they were
there's a
kind of
book.
unrelated.
Yeah, they're based on a book.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, still in terms of
With this
in
how
Hollywood
good
terms,
as
it might
it
as
is,
well be.
it's okay. That's
All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into some of the worst movies we saw this year.
Do I do honorables or is that later?
Let's do worst. We'll,
Okay.
we'll blast these and then we'll hit honorable mentions. I feel like the bottom will be kind of swift.
Start at the top.
Juice. What's the movie that you fucking thought blew?
You want me to just do one?
We'll each do 3. We'll just blast through.
Do you want to talk about the worst one first, or like move?
You
up to
ranked
that?
them?
Most
So you got, like,
podcasts,
generally
most
kinda
podcasts
do.
would not talk about this on air.
Well-
So we're not most podcasts.
We're doing it.
With most
Okay, well, if you want to start with 3 and work up to the
Okay.
list, that's fine.
That's fine.
All right.
I think 3. I would probably put. I had 4, but I'll put Army of the Dead.
Oof.
Oh,
I had it higher.
I haven't seen it.
dude. I don't know. Wait till I get. Oh, okay. Army of
It's a
the
good
Dead.
poster. I know that.
It was just this movie should not have been as boring as it fucking was.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, the premise should be more exciting than what we got. It's a zombie heist movie that's like almost 3 hours long, or is 3 hours long.
It is,
long, and it's boring.
Well, the first half of the movie is like, we gotta assemble the team. It's like nobody cares. Nobody cares about the
You
team.
son of a
I
bitch.
know, okay, not necessarily, but you can assemble the team, but do it interestingly. Like
So is this the Italian Job with zombies? Is that what I'm hearing?
Italian.
I
job?
never
Or is
saw
this
that.
fucking-
I would say
Ocean's
more. It's like,
11?
oh yeah, I mean, kind
Yeah,
of.
They're distinct.
it's Ocean. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but yeah, it's a heist movie, but obviously they have to make it more like dangerous because they're zombies. But essentially, they have to break into a vault in Las Vegas. it sucks. It's so the main zombie thing and how they do zombies in this, and it's just so dumb. It's bad.
It reminded me a little bit of
Rough.
Zombieland, but like just not fun.
Is it supposed to be fun?
Yeah.
Oh, it's trying to.
Where would you rank this, Bob? So since you already where'd you have it on your
This
worst?
was my second worst.
Okay, so close. Yeah, but
Randy,
yeah,
what do you want to show?
So for 3 for me, again, small list for me, but mine was Fear Street 1666.
Okay.
And the reason, I think we talked about this at length on the podcast, this was my big complaint with the whole franchise, is that it did not stick the landing at all for me. I was very, very distracted in the last entry into the series by 2 major things. One being that the very predictable ending ended up happening almost verbatim to what I expected it to be. And, they managed to mislead me for fucking like 10 minutes in this one before I was like, oh, no, it's what I thought from the first entry. That's what's happening. So they tried to pull the wool over our eyes and failed really kind of spectacularly. And then the second thing, and probably the bigger thing, is the recasting of the same actors in the roles of these 1600s counterparts. I found it so extremely, supremely fucking distracting.
Same.
And it was like, this would hold so much more weight if they leaned into the time and place and did not like rely on the familiar faces to, I don't know, tell half the story for us. To me, like, let these characters be their own characters. Like, do we really believe that, like fucking, like if you go back to the 1800s, are you going to find just a Randy sitting there talking bullshit about the most recent theater performance or some shit? Like that's stupid. That's like fucking Cartoon Network bullshit. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And also the second half of the movie was back in 94.
Yeah, and that was the best part to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I really stand by the idea that they should have just done 4 parts and done 94 part 2.
Yeah.
And I would have been fucking very thrilled about that, because it was by far the most fun part of the movie, and certainly the least bogged down by distracting choices. So that's my number 3.
My number 3 is Spiral, which is Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Sorry,
it's from the Book of Saw.
From the Book of Saw. I don't know where to get that. Maybe it's at your local library.
That had like nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there's no book. I don't know.
There's no book. What about this book?
This was, I guess, sort of conceived by Chris Rock. He was one of the producers and the main players in this movie getting made, and it. I don't know. I was expecting it to have some sort of like new life breathed into it. And it was basically the same old Saw stuff. It really didn't feel very difficult or very, very different from the other installments. And this movie did sort of the cardinal sin where it like absolutely tells you who the killer is. Like it's advertised in this movie who the killer is. And that's really like the biggest question is like, crusty ass what's his face is actually dead and not coming back with his little Billy the puppet.
Old crusty ass
motherfucker's not in this movie. So I don't know. They tell you straight up who the killer is, and I don't know. This movie is not fresh. It's not breathing new life into this franchise.
Is it certified?
It is certified fucking dumb. All right, Juice number 2.
My number deuce is gonna be Don't Breathe Deuce.
Oh, I don't breathe when I deuce typically. It's just a bad thing to
pass out.
Don't Breathe Deuce. We talked about this a lot in the Slack. I did a mini cast on this one as well, but I cannot even fathom why someone thought it was a good idea to take the rapist villain of the first movie, as terrible as he is, and make him a sympathetic, like Die Hard-esque hero.
Oh, are you talking about
the old man?
I thought you were talking about Joker. Okay, never mind.
But
in a Joker world, buddy. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I totally agree with you, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and they made it this like action movie where the bad guys are drug dealers slash organ harvesters. And they're the most cartoony ass basic fucks that you could imagine. I mean, it's so dumb.
I'm excited to see Don't Breathe 3 where Marv and Harry show up and try to break in.
It's like, I mean, they
the sticky bang.
they all hang out in this like burned down mansion. It's such a bullshit like new metal music video. Like, it's so bad. Like it's so dumb. This movie is fucking stupid and should not have been made at all. Yeah. So don't breathe Deuce. Don't watch this Deuce. Randu.
Hold your nose while you deuce. Am I going to 2?
Number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
number
so
2.
let me preface this. I'm going to acknowledge that many people will be correct in assuming this is not necessarily fair. I chose this because I noticed a theme in my bottom 3, the other 2 anyway, of being sort of franchise altering fuck-ups.
Okay, here we go.
And
here we go.
This is like somebody taking an established property that was on a good course, or at least a half decent course, and just like fucking that dog to death. And that is Halloween Kills. This fucking thing. Oh man, the more I think about it, the longer it sits with me, the more I'm upset about it, because they started with great stock. Halloween 2018, for all of its faults, even like the fucking Bon Me faults of it all, are not nearly as egregious as anything that's happening in this fucking movie. Everything that happened in 2018 was a way of course correcting and getting this idea of this is a scary motherfucker with no remorse who will just walk up behind you and slice your throat and then play with you a little bit on the way. And that's it. That's all it needed to be. That's all it ever needed to be. And the fact that they announced these 2 extra movies, I was like fucking dubious at best at that time. And now I have no reason to have faith in the 3rd one because they fuck up so bad at the ending of this one. It's such a part and parcel to the experience. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but that ending is so goddamn counterproductive to that very goal that it seems like 2 like entirely different people took the helm of this fucking thing. It feels like The Substitute was in, and they just fucking read out of the same old textbook that they made Halloween 5 out of. And I just don't, I hate it. I hate what they've done with this good stock. Like if you're gonna reboot some shit and you do a good job, don't immediately fuck the dog. Why would you? Why would just leave the sleeping dog lie? I hate this metaphor. There's a lot of dogs. Yeah, dogs are really taking the brunt of this conversation. But you know, I'm a dog lover, but not in that way. And you know, this is just a good example of that. And honestly, like Fear Street 1666 is a version of that, as much as it's not a long-standing legacy thing, though. And this is, so it's worse. People have had decades to think about how to do this right. And so still shockingly few managed to do it. And the same guy who managed to do it 2 years prior fucked it up on a second attempt. It's fucking depressing.
I think it's funny that in our actual review, we all gave it the same score. And yet in this, it's on Randy's worst list, it's on Bob's top 10 list, and it didn't make any of my lists.
Retrospect is a hell of a drill.
Hey, at least it gave us Evil Dies Tonight.
That's true. It's the best thing it contributed to the conversation was the easiest joke in the world, which I love.
Dude, and the Johns.
What?
The Johns.
Oh, the
Big John, Little
John.
John. I've got this knife.
That show is dope.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree to disagree, but also agree with everything that you said.
What a weird movie.
That's where we're at.
Bob, so your 2 is Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead, yeah. So I'll kick off number 1 real quick. My number 1 was Old.
Oh,
dude,
Shyamalan.
me too.
I didn't see it.
It's unwatchable. Like,
hey, I'm gonna go and I have not seen this movie. I've only seen the poster and the name of the movie and the director. Is this movie about a beach that turns people into corpses?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the twist?
No, that's advertised pretty immediately.
Okay. So I'm not like I didn't
even
just touch
the twist is like, was that a twist?
It's not a twist. It's just a bit of information that you don't find out until the end. You're like, oh, okay, that's just more information, but it doesn't add to the story really.
Oh,
it's
cool.
just like, okay, that's a thing that we didn't know. Sweet. I don't know. The dialogue in this movie is some of the worst shit I've ever heard in any movie.
Dude, there is a character who is a black man who just so happens to be the only black character I think in this film.
And he's a rapper.
He's a rapper whose name is Midsize Sedan.
That's his name.
Shyamalan. Somebody needs to smack that bitch in the mouth.
He needs a no.
Dude,
Wow.
this man, stop giving him work. Stop.
Wow.
It.
Okay.
Hang on. This man has made now 2 of the worst films I've ever seen. Old is like gotta be within my top 10 worst films ever seen. And Airbender.
Yeah.
One of the worst films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
How can he do it?
I want to add a disclaimer. We are not advocating that anybody's career be destroyed.
True.
We are expressing our opinions as quote unquote critics.
Dude. Oh,
So
I
that,
just don't understand. Yeah, that's my number
That was
one.
your number one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like no question.
we saw that in the
So
theater
Yeah, man. Bob
together.
saw it.
And like as the movie was progressing, we're both just like sighing uncontrollably and like groaning and like, oh my god. It was
One of the
tough.
worst films I've ever seen. Like, I'm so mad that man got my money. Like, give me back my 850. Furious.
It was a rough watch. Randy, what's your number one?
My number one is Conjuring 3, continuing
yeah.
the trend
Yeah.
of promising franchises that just suck their own dick right at the end. I did not like, I say that, by the way, as a person who was definitely a dissenter in Conjuring 2 discourse. I did not like that movie very much, but a lot of people did. And watching Conjuring 3, it's hard not to see it in a stronger and in a better light just by comparison, because this movie was fucking unwatchably stupid to me. It just like, God, it really tried nothing. And apparently that stuck.
Yeah.
Like it felt like the first draft of everything. The first take, the first draft of the script, nothing was given any real fucking weight. They could have done this idea of the court case where they prove, I mean, if they're gonna lie about the Warrens, which they already do, just go fucking full blush. Make a court case where they prove indisputably that ghosts exist, and fucking have the Supreme Court say, okay, well, ghosts are real.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be half as stupid as what we got anyway. It's just fucking, it's hard for me to even verbalize how fucking painful the experience of watching this movie was for me. It just dragged on and had nothing to say. It did nothing for the franchise. And again, so yeah, my 3 are all movies that just sort of took at least a decent stock of movie franchises and just shat them up.
I want to take, since Bob did it and you did as well, I want to take like a quick second to mention, I have this whole list of just like don't even want to include on the list. And they all have the same theme, just like you almost, where it's just these weak ass like franchise movies. Spiral,
I thought yours,
Halloween Kills.
I thought your list was going to definitely include Godzilla versus Kong and more.
Okay, so Godzilla versus Kong, Conjuring 3, Spiral,
Don't breathe
Halloween Kills.
Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat.
Don't Breathe Deuces on there, but even just like long-standing franchises that just had these write-ins. It's like, what is this, the late fucking 90s? Like just write-in stories that are nothing. Like you said, just like shit on the whole franchise. It's like, why is this the year for that? That's why I'm like super worried about Scream 3.
Five.
Scream
3
why
isn't that good.
Okay,
They're-
so
Be
maybe
worried.
that's why I'm super worried about Scream 5.
Having rewatched Scream 4 not that long ago, though, I will say that
You
that
did
one,
rewatch it.
I did. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah,
because you were against it.
I just was not nearly as into it as you guys. I will
Okay.
say that I've softened on that.
I like
It's better
Scream
than I
4.
remembered it.
Yeah, it's
And
awesome.
I am allowing myself a small amount of excitement for 5. But yeah, I haven't, like, with all of what you're saying right now, that's absolutely true. And that's like my major complaint with all of the movie industry.
Yeah.
And it really maybe isn't all that different than it's ever been. It's just we haven't had the same level of quality that we have seen in previous years when we've done this list.
I forgot about Godzilla vs. Kong.
That's understandable.
That's fair.
Let's jump into some honorable mentions real quick to talk about some other stuff that we enjoyed. Juice, you want to kick one off?
Yeah. Actually, I'll mention that. Yeah, Oxygen.
I was going to mention that too.
It actually is one of the last ones I switched out of 10 for Lamb, like at the last second. But this is one sci-fi original, not really doing anything crazy new or anything, but it was a nice watch. Kind of like, A Quiet Place Deuce. It was just like, I was like, thanks for just giving me a solid movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's like a
nice.
bottle movie.
It's a
Like,
Sunday
Yeah, it
afternoon.
doesn't
movie.
always have to fucking blow your dick off. It just
like
thanks for a solid watch.
I feel that.
Oxygen. Yeah,
one character killing it. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Killing
That's the thing that really kind of like made me respect it more than other movies that feel that way. Is
Yeah.
that while it managed to make that out of what is essentially almost nothing. It's a single room.
Yeah.
It's a single actress with some voices on the
Not
other
even
end.
a big room.
and she's laying down, like you can't even walk around.
That's hard to do to make a movie like that watchable, much less engaging.
Yeah.
And this movie was engaging. It kept me invested throughout. You can say a lot worse about a lot bigger, a lot more expensive movies.
Yeah, for sure.
Even this year. So I agree. That was my number 2 on my honorable mention list.
Randy, you got another one you want to throw out?
I got 2 more. One, I'll just briefly say Titane, because I just watched it and I really need to let that shit marinate before I even try to conjure a thought about it. It was very, very a lot.
That's completely understandable.
Yeah. So I just don't know. I can't make heads or tails of it just yet. But
Hopefully it beats
do you
all
want me to
those
go to the
Fear
next one? I
Street
feel like
movies.
or do you want to just continue?
I got another one I can throw out
Go
there. A Slumber Party Massacre, which is a remake.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't see that.
Sci-Fi made this, so it's not a hard R like the original, but it's still shockingly well done. Like, I enjoyed it way more than I anticipated. The first like 2 acts are like very much a straight like slasher movie. You got the driller killer returning with like this giant fucking drill. They pay homage to the original without like holding it in like such high regard, because let's be honest, it was a cheesy ass slasher movie from the 80s. Like, you don't need to do that. And they do throw in some crazy stuff in the final act that doesn't totally undo what the first 2 acts do, like a lot of these other movies we just talked about.
That's good.
It's solid. It's not going to blow your socks off, but if you have any interest in the original series, definitely watch Slumber Party Massacre. It's worth your time.
Cool.
Juice, you got another one?
Yes. The one that we haven't mentioned yet, we watched this just the other day. It was okay. My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To.
Yeah.
A lot of
that
people.
was 2020. Am I wrong? I haven't seen it.
It probably like hit festivals in 2020 or something, but like nobody really could watch it until this year.
Yeah,
It's on Shudder
like
now.
release.
I know we're a little
Yeah.
loose with that, so I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
So, anyways, that one, I know people talked about it, and it's got an interesting premise. And as you know, I mean, looking at my list, I like slow burns. I like character studies. I like different takes on this. One's a different take on a vampire tale, but I felt like it held the keys in its hand and it just kind of did nothing with them, or not anything extraordinary. It had a lot of potential, and there's like some cool ideas and stuff floating around in it, but ultimately it did not wow me enough to make the list, obviously. But I think it's especially, like, I know Bob likes weird kind of vampire stuff, and I'm intrigued by a different take on vampires too, and it offers that. So I would still be like, check that out. Maybe.
It's got some kind of thirst vibes, I guess, a little bit. A little.
Yeah, kind. It's
little.
not as sexy as thirst.
It's Randy, you got another one you want to mention?
I do. My number 1 honorable mention, which is one that I had to talk myself out of putting on the list, my top 10 list, was Midnight Mass. Midnight Mass, because it's a television show, strictly speaking, and it's not really fair, because one of my biggest, and really the deciding factor of that for me is one of the biggest pieces of praises I have for this show is it's got so much to chew on, so much. And that comes from the amount of material, there's no getting around that. I can't compare, an hour and a half, even 2-hour or 3-hour movie to this 10-hour epic, not epic, but 10-hour film, basically. And, I just think that this show had a fuck ton of good things to say, or interesting things to say about belief structures and corruption. And like, it took all of humanity's, like problems involving religion and what people believe, what people talk themselves into, which is something I talked about earlier, something I'm interested in. And it made a microcosm of that on this little island and it brought in a corrupting agent and let the fucking cancer spread. And I thought that the way that it all panned out was beautiful. I thought that the complaints about it being too monologue-y are fucking stupid, honestly. Like Red Letter Media put out their review of this and basically said, put to words exactly what I thought about that. And I can't remember exactly what they said, but basically the idea is like, yeah, there are a lot of fucking monologues in this show, but they're all fucking incredible goddamn monologues. How are you gonna like sit here and tell me that these monologues have no fucking value just because they aren't people killing vampires? Go watch Blade. Fuck it. Like, that's not this movie. That's not what this is. This is a ponderance on belief and life and all sorts of like human things.
Yeah.
It's not an action romp. That's an entirely different kind of movie you're looking for. And if people come to fucking Midnight Mass looking for that, I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking Mike Flanagan, who the most analogous things to this show are fucking The Haunting and Bly Manor and Hill House, which are both kind of the same sort of thing. They're very heavy on dialogue and monologue and light on the scares, a little bit heavier in Haunting of Hill House than any of the others. I don't know, man. It's just fucking incredible. And I don't really want to get too deep into the weeds with it because it's so easy to. Like, there's so many great ideas and lines and conversations that happen in this. And that's what the movie, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I feel like it got the biggest complaint people had about this show is its biggest strength. And it just makes me laugh at those complaints.
You get to watch actors act their asses off over and over again. Like, he gives so many great scenes to like everybody, like across the board, really. Like, he lets everybody stretch their legs and they're all banging like on all cylinders. They're just like crushing it. Even like the dude, I forget the actor's name, I'm so sorry. He was also in Halloween Kills. He's like sort of the drunk in Midnight Mass.
Robert
Robert something. And the little girl that he plays off of in the movie, in the show rather, she kills it.
Robert Longstreet. He is fucking incredible. And I've been seeing him more and more shit. Yeah, he's great and Sorry to Bother You also. But go ahead.
Flanagan's wife, Kate Heigl, she killed everybody kills it. I don't even. Yeah, watch that shit. It is.
We were talking about this. We were texting, and we try not to include shows on here, but I was saying like this was the best horror of the year.
I agree,
in my opinion.
I totally agree.
Like if we had shows and included everything, this would be my number one.
I agree.
Yeah. Like as baller as Nightmare Alley is, like this like was the horror, and the writing blew my dick off.
Yeah.
And see, now this was a movie I was critical. The first two episodes, I was like, this is feeling a little samey for old Flanagan.
I think a lot of people felt that.
That third episode, I was like, holy goddamn. That dude's smart as shit.
Yeah.
That is so fucking smart.
Oof, I love that shit.
It's so good. Now, just to bounce off that, because my third mention is 94. I'm not to skip odds, but since we don't do shows, Squid Game came out at the same exact time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only bad thing, too, is like Squid Game like blew up so big that even Midnight Mass kind of took was kind of
Did Midnight Mass come out
of that.
Earlier than that, or did it?
They were around. They were within like weeks of each other.
Yeah, I think you're right about that for sure. I bet
Squid
Game certainly took over the fucking
Yeah.
conversation, and that's great. I don't like. To me, it's less horror adjacent.
It is, yeah.
But
Sorry,
it's still
Bob.
good. Still good.
The only other thing I have to mention that we haven't already is Werewolves Within. Solid horror comedy. It's basically about a male woman, and she like is delivered mail in the middle of nowhere. It's like super snowy, and her and this park ranger get kind of trapped in this hotel. They get snowed in, and there's a bunch of other people staying there, and there's a werewolf among them. And it's basically like the game One Night Werewolf, but in movie form, where they're trying to figure out who the werewolf is because people are starting to die. But it's very much a comedy. The werewolf, like the scenes that you actually get the werewolf in, are pretty solid. They're not amazing. It's definitely like a lower budget, but it's really about the laughs more so than the horror, I would say. The movie is like consistently funny, and the two leads play off each other really, really well. It's totally worth watching.
Can I add one more to the mix here?
Yeah.
And it's only not on my list because to me, like I don't think anybody would argue that it's horror. And we have reviewed it as a mini episode basically because it is marketed so obliquely as to not be clear. And that is Pig.
Oh yeah.
Which would have absolutely demolished most of my list, if not all.
See, yeah, I didn't think that was really horror at all.
No,
See, no, it's not.
really.
But we reviewed it and we treated it as horror.
I see.
On the basis that we like it was so oblique the way they advertise it. We thought it might be like, or I thought it might be like kind of a Mandy sort of like
sure, yeah.
hit, but it was not.
Yeah, or at least of interest to horror fans.
Yeah,
we talked about it.
But. Yeah, I think it still is, but it's not. It's not horror at all. Like
no.
I hate to parse the genre like that, but in this case, I honestly think that movie was maybe my favorite movie of the year.
It would
rival Midnight Mass for me. But Midnight Mass wins. But yeah. Again, like I haven't seen too many new movies this year.
Yeah.
And that is top of the heap for me, even amongst all those, like everything that I mentioned in top 10. It's I don't want to spoil anything about it because it's very much a slow burn movie, which I'm into.
And it's kind of important not to know, I think. But I saw it, I liked it. It did not leave as big an impression on me as it did for
I really
apparently.
It's solid.
Huh.
So yeah, that's pretty much our wrap up for 2021. We talked about a lot of titles over the year. If you were following us, listening to us, big thanks to everybody, new listeners, old school OGs. Thanks to everybody that was engaging with us on Slack, on all of our social medias. Do you guys have? I want to ask you a question. How many new episodes do you guys think we released this year between Straight Chilling and Let's Get Physical Media?
Well, hang on. I was trying actually before we left off because I was going to mention a thing about how many episodes plus mini cast we had done.
Right.
I'd still not covered like all the new releases.
Yeah.
So
including mini cast.
Do you want to include the mini cast?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then it would be 52 plus like 52, at least 12. Let's Get Physical Media. So 64 plus. We usually do 2 a month, but then Halloween we did 2 extra because we do one every week. So that would be quick math, 64 plus 24 is 88, 90 episodes.
Damn it. I don't have that knowledge in me. I was gonna say fucking 90.
Oh wow.
I'll say 88 then.
This is our 95th episode right now.
95. Y'all must have done some bonus on Let's Get Physical Media.
We did, yeah. 52 regular shows, 28 mini casts, 15 episodes over on Let's Get Physical Media. We also did 13 Joe Bob watch parties. Plus, we did a Blood Rage watch party for Thanksgiving and our very first Chilloween hangout for all the Patreon supporters for during Halloween.
Did our first live stream too, where Randy was in town last time. What were we doing?
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th live stream watch party.
Yeah. We did a complete rebrand to kick off the year. Randy redesigned all of our shit. We went to hell and came right on back. Brand new bumps. And we're adding more shit next year. So
we did a bunch of YouTube stuff this year.
We're just like breaking right into the middle of the pack.
The drunk reactions. We did the whole breakdown of the Conjuring universe and
Halloween.
The whole Halloween franchise.
Yeah,
I would say we released probably between. I don't have the count. You should have told me. I would have got the count. Like original, not just our normal, audio and behind the scenes videos. I would say probably like 15 to 20 YouTube videos as well.
So you got shit coming at you right and left from Straight Chilling. Damn,
we do not charge enough.
Thanks to all of our Patreon subscribers. Just thanks to everybody for engaging with us this past year. It's been a great year, a really big year for us. We're excited for 2022. I've got a few movies to throw out real quick. Looking forward to 2022. Some stuff.
Let's see.
I'm kind of excited for.
Rob asked us to make a list. We forgot.
Nobody did. That's fine. I got it.
I did not
throw a curveball. I know this for years.
I honestly, I think everything that you're going to say, but after Scream 5 is going to be a surprise to me.
Well, that's exciting. First thing I was going to say is Scream 5 dropping in January. Directed by Radio Silence. That's January 14th is hitting your movie theaters. Theaters.
We'll be about it a theater.
We'll be watching that. I'm excited about it.
I love all the stuff from fucking
theaters.
It's from fucking. He's a Mennonite now.
Don't you know?
Want to go to the theater?
We got a new Texas Chainsaw hitting Netflix February 18th. This was produced and the story is by Fede Alvarez, which he also produced Don't Breathe Deuce, so that does not.
I know, but I like him.
I like good
stuff from
I like him
for
too.
Evil Dead.
The Evil Dead remake,
that's the thing.
It's
yeah.
hard for me to say no because I
Yeah.
really love that so much.
Yeah.
Directed by David Blue Garcia.
Leatherface is a hero now.
Oh my
And
God, dude.
You don't want to know where he's sticking that chainsaw.
Gracious.
It's gonna skin your ass raw.
Next up, Studio 666. This is dropping February 25th. This is a movie that was filmed in secret and is starring the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters!
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
The Foo Fighters. So
That's so Foo Fighters.
the Foo Fighters, they go into the studio to record a new record, and apparently it's haunted. They get possessed and go ape shit. I'm excited about this, man.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Having as big of a fan of the Learn to Fly music video as I am, I'd be a fool to say no. It
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Oh yeah.
What else?
It'll probably be middling to bad.
I hope. God, I hope.
I'm
not.
putting hopes higher than
God,
that, but
I
I
hope not.
believe that will be the case.
Bob, Halloween ends tonight.
Dude,
Coming.
I'm getting there. The North Mang. The North Mang
Hell
is dropping.
Fucking yes.
Anytime
I'll put
you
that
want to
on
put
the
some
list.
eggers on my face,
Yeah.
I'll enjoy it.
Put it above everything else.
We are,
I don't
I'm
care
yeah,
what
I'm
we're
sure we'll be
about.
talking about. It's dropping April 22nd. Stars Alex Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Willem Dafoe, Bjork is also in this fucking movie.
Bjork, hell yeah.
So yeah, we're excited about that.
Hell yeah.
The Black Phone, directed by Scott Derrickson, based on a Joe Hill short story starring Ethan Hawke. This was supposed to drop in February and it got pushed back to June 24th. I don't know why.
What is it?
The Black Phone, there's a trailer out
One
for
with the
it.
crazy mask
It's got
on
the
it.
devil mask,
Maybe I haven't seen it.
little kid talking on a black phone. You know, the whole
Ah.
thing.
No, I haven't seen it.
I saw that trailer in front of that movie. We saw a movie together.
Nightmare
Nightmare
Alley?
Alley. Yeah. And I was
Nightmare
like, that doesn't actually look that great.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about it.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends tonight,
Tonight.
2022. Drops October 14th. David Gordon Green concluding his Bond Me motherfucking trilogy.
Oh, God.
It's gonna suck, and I
I
hate
need
to
to
say
take the over under on
Honestly,
if that's gonna be good.
What could I struggle to think what they could do to salvage anything.
I think we
They
talked
have
about.
to undo some shit.
I think we talked about some of the stuff that David Gordon Green was saying about Halloween Ends when we covered Halloween Kills. It is going to jump forward in time 4 years
Oh,
to
yeah.
present day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The cast is going to acknowledge the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And I assume he's going to try and get smart and do some sort of allegory with Michael
Oh.
Myers and like people staying inside and shit. Because this Halloween Kills was all about people going outside and getting fucking murdered.
Oh,
So I think he's going to do that. And I don't want that at all in any way. That's stupid. And
Oh, God.
we'll see.
Just
Hopefully
let
I'm
it be
wrong.
a scary guy with a mask murdering people.
On the
Hopefully I'm
same
wrong.
night. Come on, why couldn't we have a Halloween trilogy
I
on
know.
Halloween night? Why couldn't we have it?
Ah.
4 years, you dumb.
Why do we make the
Smack
same
that bitch
mistakes?
in the mouth?
Yeah.
Whoever smacking Shyamalan needs to stop by.
Wow. Knock on David Gordon Green's door and we're
Disclaimer, do not visit any directors.
Don't do that.
You do not need to touch them or interact with them physically or otherwise.
we got Hocus Pocus 2 finally coming out from the director of 27 Dresses and Fletcher. There's no way that that's going to be enjoyed by dudes in their 30s. And Fletcher, yeah, I believe that's the director's name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought that was the name of another movie.
No.
And Fletcher.
Hoker Poker 2 dropping.
Oh boy, that's gonna be bad.
That's gonna be sick. That's just gonna be another
The best
sequel
case
bullshit.
scenario for that is that it reaches some nostalgia prime for kids that are 7 right now.
It's going to be CG'd to hell and back.
Or less.
It is.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Nobody's gonna remember that fucking movie in 5 years. In 1 year.
Stranger Things 4 is dropping, I think, in the spring on Netflix, which I think I'm probably the only one excited
you're
about
not
that. Okay.
Justin is just not. There's no
That's
words, just grimacing.
That's fine. Here's something kind of interesting. This movie's called Wendell and Wild. So this, I'm pretty sure this is going straight to Netflix. It was directed by Henry Selick, who directed Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach, and Coraline. And this is going to be another sort of like animated movie.
Okay.
And it's starring Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key. as a
Whoa.
Is it stop motion?
I think it is. I saw the trailer so long ago, I can't remember.
Dude,
I want to
I'm
say it is.
such a sucker
James
for
and the
good
Giant
stop motion.
Peach and
Yeah.
Coraline bangers. We need to cover Coraline.
Coraline is fucking great.
It is
Yeah.
amazing.
So that should be pretty cool. Also, speaking of Jordan Peele, Nope, which is his new movie coming
yeah.
out next year.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I'm always excited for Jordan.
Stars Daniel Kaluuya, Stephen Yun, Donna Mills, Kiki Palmer. We don't really know anything about this movie. We got a one sheet for it, and it looks like there's a kite in a cloud, so maybe it's like aliens or something. I don't know. But it's called Nope. Excited about that. Evil Dead Rise is dropping as well. It's a new installment in the Evil Dead franchise. Yeah, it's directed by Lee Cronin, the dude who did The Hole in the Ground a few years ago. He's an Irish director, I believe. I did not see The Hole in the Ground, but a lot of people liked it.
I think
didn't see
we
that.
watched it like early in our cast days, not to cast, but we are just watching it. I thought you were there.
I don't think I ever
I don't
saw
think
that.
so, no.
But I don't know. We'll see what they're doing with the Evil Dead franchise now. We're getting a new
It's a
Hellraiser.
2019 film.
Yeah, we're getting a new Hellraiser. This is directed by David Bruckner, who recently directed The Ritual and, of course, The Nighthouse, which is a movie we talked about tonight.
I mean, if anything, there was one franchise I don't care if that bombs, but I would be excited if it breathed new life into it. That's the
100%.
one. You know, like if a new Hellraiser comes out and it's like, oh, that was a cheap plastic piece of shit. As long as I don't have to cover it, I don't give a shit.
It's like well established that the sequels. It's like Chucky, where it's like you can't fuck it up. It's already fucked up.
Yeah, or like a Puppet Master or something. So if they did something cool with it, great.
Sweet.
Yeah.
If they do something medium with it,
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. That's true. If they fail,
Nowhere to go.
that's
then.
all. Yeah, that's
More
Like,
shit.
my only
yeah.
complaint with that is the same complaint I always have, which is give money to new ideas. But
sure. Yeah.
That's audio from the new Hellraiser movie.
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Not really counting these.
Where,
Perfect
Terrifier
placement.
Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2 should be dropping next year.
Oh, I thought it was coming out this year.
I think it was supposed to, but then they raised more money. I don't know.
they gotta find somebody to get cut in half again.
Yeah, so Terrifier 2 should be coming out. Also, the final thing I got here is a movie called Bring It On, Cheer or Die.
Oh.
This is Sci-Fi Channel is getting way into the horror genre, man. This is another sci-fi production, directed by Karen Lamb, who also directed Van Helsing. Which
classic.
that's a movie.
Helsing.
That's a movie we were talking about. It's a movie we were talking about on the Slack channel earlier this year, and there's a lot of people that enjoy that movie, like on a hammy level, you know.
There is one thing I like about that movie, and it is the design of Frankenstein. I think it's kind of cool.
That's cool. I think our Slack is in a weird position because it's weird. A lot of them are of a certain age. Like we were talking about this the other day, where they were, kids when Polar Express came out, like certain movies where I'm like, I'm just like, those movies are really dumb when I came out. But if you're a kid, if you're really young when they came out, then you can have nostalgia value for
There's
them.
no telling.
Van Helsing is, I think, one of those.
Oh man, that is tough to imagine. But
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of everything I have on my radar for
So
2022.
wait, I gotta go back.
Yeah,
Take a step back.
Yeah.
The Bring It On franchise is coming out with a horror on sci-fi.
That is correct.
So pretty much people are like just full on ready to do anything with any franchise, but not give money to new shit, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Largely, yes.
That's what you're hearing, Randy. It's all, but see those movies, especially like Bring It On, it's gonna be like it's gonna be teen focused.
For sure.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
mean,
PG-13. That's all.
I mean, they're gonna do a high school fucking musical horror
Of course they are. Fucking course they are. There's gonna be a Smurfs horror. There's gonna be like anything like if you can corrupt a child franchise on film, somebody's gonna do it and make money.
His name is Meat Canyon. My boy Meat.
Don't
Thank God for A24 and elevated horror.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Elevate us, A24.
Elevate me, Diddy.
Put me in the elevator.
I know they're like time's gonna kind of run out eventually, but I'm not looking forward to that.
No, I'm like obviously joking when I say that, but like only kind of. Like I'm really glad they're around.
No, yeah. I mean, I just like there needs to be another evolution happening. So
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of we've seen like not enough necessarily, but we've seen the A24 thing play out to the point where there's enough detractors and enough valid points where it's samey.
But to be fair, before that, it was who's that? Blumhouse. It was Blumhouse doing all the time. We were like, okay.
Yeah.
Then it was A24, and we're like, okay.
Blumhouse, like
So-
the business models what did it, and that business model is still kind of the working model that works for new properties.
So
Yeah.
hopefully, maybe
For me.
something else can.
Yeah.
We need the trifecta: Blumhouse, A24. We need something.
I'm just gonna start doing drugs. I think
And
it's
hardcore
quicker. It's
drugs.
guaranteed.
Every
Okay.
time. So yeah, that's what we got this week. We're gonna be back next week with a brand new show, as always, bringing in the new year.
Brand new year.
Brand new year.
2020 Deuce.
2021 dies tonight.
Wow. It does.
It's the year of the Deuce, always.
I know.
The dude.
Rounding out another year in straight chilling
Actually, it's the
history.
year of the tiger coming up.
Oh,
Whoa,
shit.
very auspicious.
So we're going to be talking about the winner of the January poll pick, first thing in 2022, which right now looks like it's going to be The Thing. I think there's still a few people left to vote, so that could change, but The Thing is looking pretty locked. And that is the 1982 The Thing, by the way. So slam your eyes into that. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at str8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. Send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on our daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link to join in on the fun. And that's going to do it for us. You guys have a safe and happy new year. And until next year, everybody keep chilling. We did it. We made history.
Works.
And